it's publicized right away. Look, we're stealing all the. Well, maybe the guys that needed to go. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'd have to. That's why we're going to ask Jim.
Yes.
He may have some insight.
He probably has better insight.
Oh my gosh, that's what he does. That's what he does a lot. And we're going to talk about Somalia thing too. I'm sure you've been keeping track of it.
Well, there's a lot there to keep track of.
One thing that just happened in Minnesota that I kind of like, GSA, General Service Administration.
Right.
I worked on the military base for many
long
years.
time, right?
Yeah, long time.
Is ubiquitous.
Well, there's a new guy in charge of it, Edward C. Frost. He's the GSA administrator, and he was sworn in on Christmas Eve.
Recently.
Yeah, just being confirmed by the Senate in mid-December. So he's already making moves. And the one that the article I've got here is there is a hotel in Minnesota that refused accommodations to ICE agents.
Yeah. Okay.
And the ICE agents went there and said, "Okay, we need a couple rooms." They said, "Nope, you're ICE agents. We don't like you. Go away."
Yeah, and they may have had GSA contracts.
They did. It was the Hilton.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's an independent. I mean, Hilton is the name brand, but a lot of these hotels
are independently owned.
But they're under contract,
right?
Franchise agreements and stuff.
Yes,
and of course, part of the franchise agreement, Hilton's got the GSA contracts.
Yeah, there are government rates that they've agreed to pay.
Right.
In order to get government business, we will charge these rates when a person says we're associated with the government and we need a room.
And that includes thousands of people potentially because it's military. It's all kinds of things. ICE agents, Border Patrol, everybody
who works for the
government paycheck. Well, they went to this hotel service, and according to Edward Frost, he said Monday, he said this, that the hotel was not allowing any ICE or immigration agents to stay on our property. After I was informed that a local Hilton property canceled rooms reserved for ICE, they were already there.
Yeah.
GSA immediately reviewed the matter and found the hotel to be in clear violation of its government lodging program requirements. The property has been removed from the programs and booking tools effective immediately. GSA unequivocally supports our federal law enforcement partners. Now, I don't think that's always been done.
It's so unusual for a hotel to deny rooms to a federal.
As far as we know.
I mean, I just don't. I've never heard of it before, but it might have happened sometime in the past.
As far as we know, maybe it has happened. It's never been news. They just work around it. I don't know. He said the GSA is a federal agency responsible for managing and supporting the basic functioning of federal agency. And he said the formerly Hilton branded hotel was stripped of its Hilton label on Tuesday.
Yeah. Okay.
Hilton came out and said,
"No, you're not.
You're gone.
Yeah, you're not following what you agreed to do."
Because that could have lost the whole contract for all of Hilton.
Yes. And reasonably so. I mean, because they're violating their an agreed to contract.
So Hilton separated themselves.
Right.
Real quick. You are on your own, pal.
Yeah. Well, they don't want it to spread.
Of course.
And they want to maintain their business. So they're taking
I mean,
action.
maybe these kinds of things have happened in the past, but I don't remember reading one or seeing one.
But the only thing I can say is that I've often used government rate hotels in official travel.
Yeah.
And it was never a question of, do we accept government people? It was always a question of, is there a room available?
That's how, they can't.
They can't give you a room if they're all booked.
These rooms were already reserved.
Exactly.
And they canceled the reservation.
Yeah, that's nuts. I mean,
because they love Somalians. I'm guessing that. It doesn't say that.
To me, it's the management of the hotel probably bought into this fantasy that the U.S. is evil and white people are evil. And,
oh my gosh.
That's my guess.
You mean even outside New York City?
Yeah, well, it's Minneapolis. Minnesota was the only state that gave electoral votes. Let's see, who was it? I'm trying to think. The guy who ran against Reagan. But anyway,
I guess you heard Mandani just put another cabinet member on and in charge of housing or something. I don't remember her name. White lady. They got on. They did a rant on social media that. We're going to change things. People are going to come to socialism now in the era of having these houses independently owned are come to it. And it's going to hurt particularly the white people, you know.
Yeah,
And she wasn't looking in the mirror.
I read of that.
Yeah, and I said, "What? You can be that racist openly and comfortable with it?" And
It's violation of federal law right off
correct.
the top. So
Yeah.
it's got problems. If they try to implement this stuff, they're going to have to be either very clever or they're going to be knocked down.
Well, they just made a law, or
I mean, if they say send a picture when you make your reservation,
yeah,
or are you paying property
yeah.
taxes? We
You know
want
what?
a DNA sample.
They need a color wheel. They can hold it
Yeah.
up to your skin and say, "No,
Mm,
yeah, it's a little off.
yeah.
You're a little too white. You're not going to come in." Amazing, amazing what we're coming to. But I think it was New York. I'm sure it was, and I don't know if it's a law that passed, Dean, or one that's on before them. I think it may have already passed. But to sell any property, you've got to give notice to the state first, or to the city,
Real estate you're
real
talking about.
estate, buildings, whatever, and you got to make a first offer, and then you got to wait. I mean, you got to make an offer to you got to tell
Somebody has
them.
to make an offer to buy the property, you're saying.
Well, and if a nonprofit comes in and says, "I want that," you can't sell it to anybody else. You got to give them 30 days before you can do anything, so they can assess whether they really want it. And then,
This is a proposal, you're saying,
yeah,
right?
well, you're going to put it up for sale.
No, I'm saying that this is not law yet.
I don't know. I can't remember. It either is or it's coming up.
I know I was shocked if you sell real estate in California, they demand the bank take out essentially like a sales tax for the California government. So
They
yeah,
want it fast. Well, this one, so you're going to postpone it 30 days, and then if they put in an offer, um, I think they get another 60 days or something to negotiate it, and somebody else, like if somebody else says it offers more, then you got to give them 60 days, see if they can come up with money to have nonprofit, right? They want nonprofit. They want government owned everything.
well,
NGOs,
yeah,
nonprofits,
it's not necessarily government, but
right?
I mean,
Well, a lot of these NGOs are supplied by government contracts
absolutely,
constantly.
absolutely. But
I'm starting to not see a separation anymore.
well, what we see is ideological clumping, where a
Yeah.
lot of the NGOs tend to be ideologically in line with the Democratic
It's
Socialists.
no wonder everybody was leaving New York.
Yeah, well, and if the threat of this kind of regulation, taxation, whatever you call it, because if you stop somebody from being able to sell their property for 90 or more
Right.
days,
Well, why they
there's a financial loss that goes with
while they
that.
try to get it into the hands of a nonprofit,
Right.
which
But it'll drive people to try to sell more, and so maybe prices might come down a little bit.
well, that's not fair to the
Of course,
property
it's
owners
not
either.
fair. Why would you think it would be fair?
And then California's doing this billionaire tax. It's only 5% of not what you make, your assets.
Yeah, it's huge.
It's stupid.
It is, and I don't know that that's an interesting
I don't know if
thing.
that'll go through legally or
I
not.
don't
I don't know.
I don't see right off that it is not allowed in the
Well,
Constitution.
they haven't even firmed that up as I guess they're going through the process, but it's written so that it would be retroactive to January 1st. So you can't leave right now, California, and get away from it. I don't see how that could ever be legal. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, but it doesn't sound.
Yeah, the retroactivity might be a problem.
No,
I'm
they
trying to
were.
think if there's been other examples that
I don't
use
know.
that.
But there was a couple billionaires that left in December
Sure.
because of
Yeah, well,
because it was
because they're not stupid.
no, they didn't. They get to be billionaires unless they inherited it.
You could inherit money.
Yeah, you can. They don't stay billionaires, so
Usually not.
yeah.
I mean, it's the old saw about the first generation makes the money, the second generation keeps the money, and third generation spends the money.
Something like that. And I'll tell you, Edward's a finance guy, and he's been very successful and all that. He really works with his kids to make sure he avoids that.
Some families are much more successful than others in keeping wealth.
Yeah. Let's take a phone call. You're on the air.
Morning, Russ, Dean.
Good morning.
Ted, I see you called me, so I turned the phones on.
I'm manipulative,
Yes, you are.
but I want to try to drag you back to a previous statement y'all were talking about.
Yeah, we've made so many. We're like the View right now. But go ahead.
Well, you were talking. All right, Joy.
Oh man,
You were discussing manure down there in Venezuela.
manure.
Maduro.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh okay.
manure. So anyway, you were about the last time that we had any kind of interventions at all. And I'll give you the answer to it. I may could be wrong, but I'll give it the answer.
What is it?
First was John Lafitte, and then Bolivar in Venezuela. Those were our two on this continent or on this side of the world intervention into crap going on down there.
I don't remember.
Well, those would have been pretty early. I mean,
Jean Lafitte, we went after Jean Lafitte
was
because
he a pirate or
with
something? Or?
he was sort of like a pirate. He basically like manure, and he had fraudulent letters of marque that he tried to use to circumvent our government. And then when Bolivar in Venezuela tried to strong arm everything.
well, you're talking about the original Simon Bolivar, right?
Right.
Yeah.
When they were down there just trying to impose their Spanish rule.
Yeah, Bolivar is famous for revolutions all over Central and South America.
Right. And we had to go down there and straighten it out then. This has just been an ongoing thing in the Caribbean and down there. Piracy.
It's kind of weird though, isn't it, Ted? I mean, we're looking at America now like it's reliving some of its past muscle.
Some of it.
It just repeats it.
Now, to give an example that's sort of a counter, we supported the Haitian Revolution against the French, and then later we supported them with arms and money early on.
So we're responsible for that Haiti thing.
Well, we supported it early on.
Yeah.
Early on, it was much more democratic. Then the French basically backstabbed. They made an agreement with somebody. They lured the more Republican faction, more democratic, shall we say, whatever, into. They said that we're going to help you out. We're agreeing to this, and then they basically captured them and put them in jail. Well, that left the more radical faction in power in Haiti, and after that, we withdrew our support, as I recall it. And that radical faction, Haiti has been misgoverned rather badly for the last 250 years or 220 years, something like that.
Right. We just didn't put our foot down strong enough.
Well, we didn't have the power back then. We weren't. I think that happened before the Constitution was ratified. It might have been a little after. Right in that period, around 1776 to 1790.
So have we reenacted the Monroe Doctrine?
It's called the Donroe Doctrine now.
like the Don Kennedy Center.
Yeah.
But we have allowed some really morons to run our government over the years.
Oh yeah, we had an auto pin run it for 4 years.
Yeah, I'm just clicking my auto pin right now. But like I say, we have let this go on too long.
Yeah.
And until we put our foot down for good and run this side of the planet the way it should be done, we're not going to get anything accomplished.
But we've got the actions right now trying to stop it. I mean, right now, not just the Democrat Party, but even some in the Republican Party that want more globalist and stuff. That thinks if we just leave everybody alone, we'll be okay.
Right. Well, I've left my complaints with the Speaker's office against Astronaut Boy and Chuck Schumer.
Yeah, but you do that every day. They're used to you, so
pretty much.
Okay.
Hey, Ted, how you doing? What is it today?
I think Kelly has put both feet in his mouth now, and he's looking for a third. I mean, it's just he says, "I got to fight. I got to fight."
Right.
Okay.
My last conversation with the Speaker's office was to send my letter over to Kelly and ask him if he understood the word quiz. Dean, that is.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
obviously
okay.
does. I have no clue. I'm sitting here.
Quisling's
Law.
from the Second World War.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it was
He's a
Norway.
Quisling. He's nothing more than a
think
Quisling,
it's-
and he knows it. If he doesn't
He
know
done
it, then he bumped
Quisling,
his
I
head
think.
in outer. He must have been bumped his head in the space shuttle.
Well, every time he talks, though, he does his whole resume.
Right.
I'm a veteran. I've done this. I've done that. I've done that. How dare they look into my actions? Like, look, dude. I mean, if you did something wrong, according
And
to
all this is under UCMJ. It's strictly on his pension and retirement rank.
yeah,
I mean, it doesn't prevent him from voting or doing anything at the center. It's just saying, look, you're doing stuff that under the UCMJ you're not allowed to do
yeah.
because you're a retired Navy captain. I think, isn't he a captain?
Yeah, I mean, what's captain?
He was a
Yeah,
captain. He was a captain.
Yeah, about equivalent of
Just
a
a
colonel.
captain. and
just a
in-
captain.
Yeah,
That's not like-
Captain is a pretty high
yeah,
rank.
he's pretty big, man.
Insubordinate captain.
An insubordinate captain. I guess we got another
Yeah, well,
classification.
Captain. Yeah.
He was a captain. Right now, he's delusional.
He's nothing.
He thinks it doesn't affect him because he's got such a great record. He's a space hero
I asked
and a senator, so
Johnson
I
to
can
explain
make
to
my own
him-
laws.
I explained to Johnson. I asked him. I begged him to tell him to stop embarrassing my state.
I know.
I'm sick of the embarrassment.
Wait a
of
minute. Why'd you
people that
stop
are
with that? What
elected
about
into-
Gallego? Gallego.
Johnson
he
doesn't
said
have
that.
much
They
power
want-
over.
I've got a list up there. They got a look like a dartboard. When I call, they just throw the dart. Which one is it this time?
I cringe when I hear the word Gallego on the news because he's doing something stupid. He's
All three of them are embarrassment to the state,
right.
which
No.
tells me that certain voters in this state are embarrassment to us.
Well, we got an election coming up in about a year, a little less.
No, yeah, for Kelly, not Gallego.
Well, right.
Yeah.
Well,
We got two
Gallego.
terms.
I mean,
Well,
Gallego's
Kelly's
a
not even going to be up in a
representative,
year.
isn't he?
No, Gallego's a senator. He just beat Kerry Lake.
I got to keep up. Obviously,
Yeah,
I got that wrong. But,
a year ago.
yeah.
And
I'm thinking of our local.
yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's federal.
Yeah.
But he's coming out, talking about Trump's illegal activity in Venezuela and all that. Kind of
Yeah,
stuff,
that's talking point on the left. It's just not true.
Oh, my
I mean, I've looked
God.
at the legality of it, and it does.
But when he stands up in campaigns and says he's going to be a common sense guy, and he's going to he works for Arizona, it's all a lie. He's just another talking point Democrat.
He's very supportive of the Democratic Party.
Yeah,
I didn't mean to steer the conversation that
you've
way.
made
but
me mad this morning. I've got my guy go take a blood pressure pill now, and it's because of you, Ted.
Well, you should have listened to the doctor that was just on late last night, man. He tell you how to straighten out your ailments. It's dietary.
Oh, I'm going to try that.
All dietary. You were told that.
I've been told that many times.
No, I'm gonna have to call your wife.
I see it
and
on
tell
the
her to
internet
tell
all the
you-
time.
Yeah, I'm gonna call your wife and tell her to fix your diet.
All right, buddy, you do it.
All right, have a
Take
good
care.
day, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
He doesn't know my wife. Edward, and as I said, I was talking about the law in New York. I didn't know if it was a law or it is not a law. He assures me right now it's called the COPA is law in New York City. With the NGOs in New York City, you can't take the highest price from private buyers.
Wow, that's a big deal.
Oh, yeah, and he would know. I mean, he deals in real estate a lot.
Sure. I mean,
I think
did
he's
not
got his
know.
hands in a lot of things, but real estate's a big.
Whew.
Yeah, what does that do to that city?
Well,
I mean,
it decreases the price of private property, the value of property.
but I'm thinking more long term. I mean, people aren't going to invest, they're not going to build. They're not-
Exactly.
where the investor going to be? You're not going to have any investors. I mean, it's going to turn into a deep
Well, if the price gets low enough, people will invest.
Yes. Yes, but like they did in Detroit, they started selling houses for
Well, and in a lot
nothing.
of properties in Detroit, people were not willing to pay a dollar for it
Right,
because the property taxes and the assessments against them were
And-
so high
and-
that they had negative value.
and the house was junk.
Well, yeah, but
Some
not
of them.
always
Some of them.
necessarily.
Well, and-
you had very high crime rate.
But they're obviously on the recovery now. I mean,
They are.
they're
I
not
like
like
them to go after they
And-
got
and
put
they're on
into receivership.
and the only reason, yeah, that's right. The only reason they're on recovery is because they allowed them to fail.
Yeah.
They stopped propping it up.
Right.
and said, "We can't do it anymore, guys." It failed to where it was worth nothing, and investors came in and bought the nothing and turned it into something.
Well, because it went into receivership,
Receivership and everything, and
all
started
the corruption was essentially halted, or most of it.
yeah, at least enough to get people interested.
Yeah, to believe that it could be brought back, and it has been coming back, and the
So
crime rate has been going down.
we really need New York, California to go through it again so that we can remember what it's like to have
Well,
major
I have
cities destroyed.
faith that President Trump will not continue to prop up California and New York with federal dollars.
But he's already doing it. I mean, he's already
I
cut $10
believe-
billion on these social services
Yeah, they cut off the money to the
just
to
to
the
5
fast
states.
rail to nothing.
5 states that are showing a propensity to be stupid and not and give federal money to everybody. See, the states are in charge. The states have to administrate.
Well, and there's
administer.
supposed to be strings that go along with this.
Of
And
course.
and I think President Trump is saying, you didn't follow the strings, we're stopping.
There's rules. Like if you're going
Yes.
to give this money to a daycare center, these are the rules. You can only get for this reason. The daycare operation has to be this, this, and this. In fact, I didn't know this till Edward texted me on it. You know that one daycare, the Leering Center
Yeah.
in Minneapolis.
Yes.
They said, the reason no one was there because our hours are 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. Well, one of the rules for getting federal money, it has to be open from 6 a.m. to 6. That's a law to receive that money.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to take a phone call. I'll tell you.
No, I just wanted to let the person on the other end of the line realize I was on the radio.
Oh, is that it?
So they can hear us, and
But-
I'll talk to them later.
But amazingly, those are the rules and the strings attached to that money. That's one of them. I'm sure there's others. I don't know what they are. I haven't
Oh,
read
I'm
it.
sure there's
A ton of them about-
lot of regulations. You
Sure.
know, probably how many bathrooms.
See, and it's up to the state to verify these things are all okay. They sign off on it. They certify them.
And you have to have some state official who is responsible for this.
Correct. And then the feds send the money. Well, apparently this has been rip-off city in Minneapolis
Correct.
on all that. And they get on the air, including politicians saying, well, this Nick Shirley guy, he went where it wasn't even open, man, because they don't open till 2. I mean, they said that on the they don't realize they just
Admitted that
Yeah.
they're following the rules.
that these guys have been
Yeah.
because if they open up at 2, you don't follow the guidelines.
Well, my suspicion is they haven't been cheating. They just made up that to try to explain why there wasn't anybody there.
You have this suspicion too.
Yeah.
I got to take a break anyway. We'll be back. AM 560.
In the afternoon, 63 the high, chance of rain 60% today. Clouds and 48 tonight. Sunshine and clouds mixed with northwest winds at 10 to 20. Tomorrow, 67 the high. Mostly clear and 47 tomorrow night.
The Desert Lily Annual Quilt Show is coming Friday and Saturday, January 9th and 10th at the Yuma Civic Center with hundreds of beautiful quilts and wearable art items on display. See the special quilt celebrating America's 250th birthday. There'll be items for sale at the country stores and a fat quarter basket drawing. Admission is just $8. Buy tickets for your chance of winning the Love in the Mist quilt. Proceeds to benefit the Hasbro House. The Desert Lily Annual Quilt Show, January 9th at the Yuma Civic Center. Don't miss it.
We're the comfort experts. You can trust Ask our customers. That's why we count on us. Over 50 years of service. Keep us going strong. We've got a name you can depend upon. Hamburg Refrigeration. Hamburg. Count on us.
In a world where Wi-Fi battles rage and bandwidth is never enough, one family dares to connect it all. Work from home, influence all day, stream all night, and game to win. Deadline, download, and dance-offs, all happening under one roof, flawlessly. Can your internet provider do that? Fiber fuel your household at allofiber.com/all-in.
Listen to KBLU from 8 to 9 every Monday morning for Life, Death, and the Law. Sean Garner and Adam Hansen discuss estate planning options. Learn how you can plan your estate using a will or trust to protect your family and secure your legacy. That's Life, Death, and the Law every Monday, 8 to 9 a.m. on 560 KBLU.
To be a part of Russ's show, call 928-344-5258. That's 928-344-5258.
Welcome to the most wonderful time of the year when millions of Americans open their credit card statements, scream in terror, and start looking for new ways to save money. If that's you, why not cut your wireless bill in half with a safer plan from Pure Talk? You'll get unlimited talk, text, and 3 gigs of high-speed data on a super fast 5G network for just $20 a month. Ho, ho, ho. Just dial pound 250, say micro, and Pure Talk's U.S. customer service team will help you switch in minutes. Again, talk, text, and data for just $20 a month.
The new year means new resolutions, not just for your body, but for your finances as well. Did you know that financial health is directly related to your identity protection? This is why you need LifeLock. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points per second. If your identity is stolen, LifeLock's restoration specialist will fix it, guaranteed, or your subscription money back. Resolve to make your identity, health, and wealth part of your New Year's goals with LifeLock. Visit lifelock.com and save up to 40% off your first year with a promo code BECK. Terms apply.
AM 560 KBLU. Let's start with you. And Dean's here.
Glad to be.
My fact checker already corrected me.
Okay.
Well, he does that on a regular basis.
Well, that's the point of a fact checker, isn't it?
know,
I mean, they're no good if they don't do corrections.
he says the time requirement, meaning with Somalians, they have to open up from 6 a.m., not Somalians, but the daycare, whoever owns it,
Okay.
6 a.m. to 6 p.m. He says the time requirement is not a law, it is a regulation.
Oh, yeah.
He's right, of course.
Yeah.
I have got him wrong. I just can't remember when. But
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Yeah,
when.
yeah. Well,
I'm sure I have.
You know, that's the idea of a fact checker is to provide these details.
But one way or the other, he's got some explaining to do. And he's Somalian.
Absolutely. Because the regulation, almost certainly one of the terms you have to meet in order to get the money.
Yes. So the fact they doled out that money, but nobody ever fires a bureaucrat for that.
It's the Trump administration. We'll see.
I understand they just sent a bunch of agents, treasury agents and stuff too. And
Into
I don't remember the numbers, but it
office.
was a big number. I can't remember. It was a lot. And Tim Walz, have you seen him? He's just.
Well, I heard he's not running for governor
He's
anymore.
not, and he's angry that Trump has weaponized the government to enforce the law.
Oh, how
He
dare
doesn't
he?
put it like that.
How
I'm
dare
putting
he?
it like that.
How dare he?
I put it like that. Man, he was crazy on the news the other day when he was at the podium and screaming, how hard he's fighting, and I'm taking I can't run for office. I got to take every minute and fight for Minnesota. And when we find out, I'm going to ride you. I'm going to ride you. And I was like, ride you?
What does that mean?
I don't know.
Sounds kind of.
But he was adamant. He's a goofy guy. He's a knucklehead.
I think he is. He does not present himself in the best way on television. That's the way.
Well, the reason they put him on the Kamala Harris ticket is he's a representation of a real man.
That was the idea. It didn't work out very well.
No. He's not like any real man I know.
Well, I remember one of the things that backfired during that campaign was that he was going to be pheasant hunting, and he had the shotgun that he claimed was his, and then he couldn't quite figure out how to keep the bolt back on it, to unload it or load it or whatever.
It says it was his gun, but
that's what he said, and he had it for years. And I'm saying, well, you're not very familiar with it.
And he knew he was going on air to demonstrate it. He didn't practice at home.
Well, that's what struck me. I mean, if you're going to do a photo op, you want to do it exactly right. So to show the lack of preparation is just odd. It does not come across as presidential or even vice presidential material.
I looked at, he's wearing camouflage, hunting stuff and all that. I took another look at it, see if there were any tags on it.
Well, it appears that, he has hunted.
Yeah.
And he shot, targets with shotguns.
Right.
But he obviously had not handled that gun for a long time, or else he was so nervous by the photo op that he forgot basic functions, how to handle it.
He's a knucklehead. And potentially, he's involved in some of this fraud, but I don't know. This Nick Shirley that did the
Right.
42-minute video. But well done. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but it's well
No,
done.
I haven't seen it. Just read of it.
And Nick did not do this research and all that. Really, what he did was he went and talked to whistleblowers that had been telling the governor and the legislature for years all of this stuff. But Nick is a smart kid that knew how to go out and put it in a good video and knock on doors and verify.
Right.
I mean, he did what a journalist would do if we had journalists.
Yes, he's a citizen journalist is what I would call him.
He is.
He may have professional status now. Even you get over 100 million views, that's pretty professional
But
level.
this 23-year-old didn't do the Freedom of Information Act to get the records and to get all that. He just had to go talk to the whistleblowers that had been screaming for somebody to listen to him for years.
Well, there's an older guy who's with him and helping him.
Correct. That's one of the whistleblowers.
Okay.
And there's been more interviews with him.
Right.
That he's been doing this for years and nobody will listen.
Right.
And he's the one that's done all the research. He's gotten all the paperwork done. Nick was able to package it and make it go viral.
Yes. Which shows talent.
And real talent.
And
he asked the right questions. He did the right follow-up. He knocked on the doors to verify the information. He just didn't take his word for it. He went out with an eye on it, put a hand on the doors.
Yeah, right. So, I mean, this is the level of new media we have now, or different. Like I said, the media has become fractured and partisan. That's a good thing. And anybody who has some talent can become a significant personality in the media.
I think this kid has talent. He's got some,
I think
some insight. And the whistleblower tagged along with him.
Right.
And was holding the paper. So, yeah, it's 1.8 million here. It was, that was 3 million over there.
This is the address they have now.
Yeah. And Nick was just packaging it. And did a great job. Did great. And he's continuing. Apparently, this daycare thing is just one small part.
Now, I have a little bit of a connection. I had a friend in college. We went to ROTC together, and he got a journalist degree, and eventually he ended up in Minneapolis working for, I think it was television, but I'm not sure if it was television or radio or what station, but it was a major media in Minneapolis. And he finally quit. He's got out of journalism, and he said, because I can do a story, if it exposes Republican corruption, it's front page news. But if I do a story exposing Democrat corruption, it gets killed.
Right.
So that's how it used to work. And it doesn't work that way anymore because Nick can go out and do a story and it can't be stopped.
That's why it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Exactly right. Because the story's got to get out. And now these journalists, being first in a lot of these things is key. They can't be first because they're not going to cover it.
Right. I mean, I'm sure that many of the people in the media in Minneapolis knew about this.
Yeah.
But the story had been killed many times. So and there was some enforcement, by the way. There was some enforcement in previous years of scandal.
And there's been people arrested in jail over it.
So it's not like it's completely covered up. But it has been.
But when Nick knocked on 50 doors and find 50 more, and listening to one of the government officials, I can't remember if she's elected commissioner or supervisor or whatever, but she says, "Oh, that just can't happen because we inspect those operations twice a year, every 6 months." Really? When the neighbors say, "Look, it's been there. I've been here 7 years. I've never seen a kid go in there."
Well, there's this legendary movie. I think it's on a golf course or something. Rodney Dangerfield, and he's being taught in school, and they say you have to do this and that. He says, "This isn't about how you really do development. How about the payoffs you have to give to the inspectors?"
Yeah, I remember that.
Well, maybe there's some of that was going on in Minneapolis. I don't know.
Yeah, well, we have no idea. But that person, whoever it was, I'm sure the FBI and people are talking to her, like, tell me how they inspect.
Right. Who are the inspectors? We'd like to talk to them.
And why are you
when did they happen? Show us the records.
Why are you so well versed and confident that that's happening?
Well, because I'm right here. I show you this inspection happened on this
I don't
day.
think they ever get out of their seat.
Well,
I mean, if anybody knocked on the doors of these places,
a lot of bureaucrats don't get out of their seats. It's an office job, but I would say she's saying there are inspections. I bet she has records showing there were inspections. Whether the inspections actually were valid or not is another question.
Probably. Maybe they hired a Somali cousin to the one who
Could happen.
Can you go do the inspection?
Could happen.
Then it's just it's insane.
I mean, maybe you want somebody who's Somali.
And Elon Musk has said just recently that I already may have said it before when he worked for Doge that he suspects the fraud is at 700 billion.
I think that's possible.
And he's basing that on 10% of the budget, that it's fraud. And in the case of Minneapolis, particularly, it's much more. It's more like 50% is what they're looking at, or better.
I can believe it.
Yeah, and we'll see what goes on now. Everybody's yelling racist because Trump cut off the money. We cut the money off where they had anomalies of like doubling, tripling the budgets in a short period of time, and obviously some missed questions going on. But he did it for the state, not for the Somalians. He did it for the state.
Right, because the state has shown they're not doing a good oversight.
Right, and he asked for records. He's not getting them and stuff like that, or not him, but the departments are asking for records. And California's mad about that. I mean, they've asked for records from California on a lot of stuff, and they just refuse.
Yeah, I
they keep getting federal money.
Kind of scuttlebutt, I'd say, sort of semi-rumor that, oh, you think Minneapolis bad? Well, look at California, look at New York. You're going to find a lot worse. I don't know if that's true or not.
Well,
possible.
Might be. But we got a couple governors there to do a lot of jazz hands between Newsom and Tim Walz. I think that's a nervous jazz hands.
Yeah,
I think they know they're covering something up.
Very possible. I suspect a lot of fraud in California because it's essentially been a one-party state for quite a while now.
Yeah, you get away with anything you want.
Right.
There's no opposition party.
Right.
None.
Very little effective opposition.
Yeah. None to speak of. Mayor of Silicon Valley is sticking his neck out. That's Matt Mahan. And San Jose mayor, he's opposing a proposal that's going to be on the ballot measure. That's a one-time tax, 5% on billionaires that live in the state. Now this, and they're putting it on a ballot. Now it's coming from the legislature.
Right. Well, they can put measures on,
which we do in Arizona, which I hate. I hate that we're a referendum state. I don't like it.
Well, the circumstance in which the referendum was put into place, which was, I think, with the Constitution in 1912, referendum were very local. You didn't have somebody from New York financing a referendum in Arizona.
Well, that's what happens now.
Now, anybody around the world who wants to spend money can get a referendum passed in Arizona.
And then they'll send people to Fry's parking lot with a clipboard and get your signature.
And if they have a lot of money for a slick advertising campaign, they can buy it. Very often purchase a referendum.
Well, this Matt Mahan is stepping outside the Democrat stronghold. He is a Democrat and saying he doesn't agree with it. Congressman Ro Cannon, he represents a major part of Silicon Valley, has come under fire from tech execs and investors for supporting the wealth tax. So this is a hub of billionaires in there. I mean, these tech guys have done very well. They've been very creative. They've made their money, and they're billionaires now. And Congressman Roe wants it, and they're going to take profit. That's a big dollar. And we're not talking about
it's 5% of their total assets.
Yeah,
it's not 5% of their income.
Right. It's a asset tax.
I mean, 5% is generally considered a reasonable rate of return. So you're basically saying, you made money on your assets, we're going to take it.
Well, and a lot of those assets are not going to be liquid.
Correct.
It might be a farm.
Yes,
you got
a building.
You got $1 billion worth of farmland or in buildings and stuff, and they say, give me 5%. Well, of what? You got a shovel? I mean,
well, let's say it's worth $1 billion. Send us 500,000. Let's see, 5 million, I guess.
Yeah, and so some of it, I mean,
50 million.
It's not whether they can afford it or not afford it. Is it fair? Is it legal? Is it all that? Well, I guess it's a referendum. Maybe it still doesn't have to be legal, but it's a statewide ballot measure that would ask for the voters to approve a one-time only.
Yeah,
there's no such thing. Because if they're using it to dig them out of a hole they're in right now, They're going to put themselves in another hole because money's so easy to come by.
Now, I'm not super familiar with the California Constitution, which has gotten very complicated, but I don't, off the top of my head, see anything that says it's not constitutional to do
I
this.
haven't seen anything. But they plan on raising $100 billion by doing this. $100 billion.
Yeah.
That's a nice payday. And the film was Back to School you were talking about with Rodney Dangerfield.
Yeah, okay. But I thought it was interesting that film injected some hard reality into how things are done in the real world at times.
I said I know Edward to be wrong. I can't remember the incident, but I know I caught him. But I don't make a big deal about it because I don't want his retaliation.
Yeah.
He says, I thought I was wrong once, but then I was informed I wasn't. May have been me. I said, well, you were wrong, Edward. Don't come after me. Oh, the film was Back to School. Oh, no, I already told you that.
Yes.
He's been. San Jose's population is just below 1 million. So it's a big place.
Yeah.
A big place. Third largest city in California. I didn't even know that. I didn't know San Jose was the third largest, but it is. A billionaire investor made a comment. Even people who don't expect the initiative to pass are still planning to leave because there will be another one in this argument. Yeah, there will be. If California's going to go to this, they're going to go to it.
I would not be surprised if it passes.
He says, and California will lose the most important taxpayers and net off much worse. Bill Sachs, a venture capitalist, now serving in Donald Trump's crypto and artificial intelligence he says, Austin will replace San Francisco as the tech capital. Peter Thiel, a Google guy, and Larry Page. Oh, he's the Google guy. Peter Thiel's a tech investor.
Right.
They've considered leaving the New York Times, according to the New York Times, driving billionaires out of the state. And this is back to Mann again, the mayor. Who is against it. He's against doing it. He says driving billionaires out of the state might feel good in the short run, but working people, as is most always the case, will pick up the tab for this political ploy. The people will lose in the long run. Are California's families who will be asked to foot the bill for government services and infrastructure? Addressing income inequality requires solutions like closing the massive loopholes nationally that allow the wealthiest among us to essentially never pay taxes on many capital gains. Like Trump said during I think it was his first election in a debate, it was with Hillary Clinton, saying you don't pay taxes. He says, well, that's because I'm smart. I follow the rules.
These incentives in the tax law are there for a reason.
Well, it is for a reason, so to promote growth or to promote something. And so the government will come up with these.
This referendum in California is sort of an analogy of the tale of the golden goose. You have the golden goose laying golden eggs. Well, we want more, so let's kill the goose and take all the eggs that are inside. Well, then you don't get any more golden eggs.
The California bill is being listed as a means to fill healthcare costs. That's right. But he writes healthcare costs for the illegals and the poor. They don't spell that out. Edward's spelling that out. But it is healthcare costs.
It is.
He says also impossible to wealth tax since there is no value to stocks and options until they are sold. I would disagree with him. I think us laymen can put a tax on. Can put a value.
I think somebody will say, "What's the value of that stock today?"
This is News Talk 560 KBLU, Yuma.
There's a new U.S. military operation related to Venezuela. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. It's happening now at sea in the North Atlantic, where U.S. forces boarded an oil tanker to seize the ship that was recently renamed, given a Russian flag, and was going to get a Russian military escort.
The ship, which was previously used to transport sanctioned Venezuelan oil, has been pursued by the U.S. since last year. It's now northwest of the British Isles. Russia says it is monitoring with concern the situation around the tanker.
Fox's Jonathan Savage. The U.S. had already seized other oil tankers and blown up suspected drug trafficking boats off the Venezuelan coast, leading up to Saturday's operation capturing leader Nicolas Maduro. All members of Congress will get a classified briefing on that mission this morning. The first one is for the Senate an hour from now, then the House. Democrats have been critical of that Venezuela raid. Senator Peter Welch says this is a new American approach.
And that new foreign policy is might makes right. If President Trump wants something and he can use the military to get it, he will.
The president will meet with oil executives Friday after posting on Truth Social that Venezuela is going to send to the U.S. 30 to 50 million barrels of oil that will be sold at market price. Today marks 1 year since wildfires devastated the Los Angeles area. 31 people were killed, 12,000 homes burned down, including Rachel Darvish's in the Pacific Palisades. She's among many who are frustrated, unable to rebuild yet. She tells Fox,
"Is it safe yet? When we go home? What are we breathing? What's in the air? What is insurance covering that? I'm not home yet. Those are the things I'm worried about."
Later this morning in Los Angeles, Nick Reiner will be arraigned on charges he murdered his famous father, actor and movie director Rob Reiner, and his mother in their home last month.
Earlier this week, Reiner was reportedly removed from suicide watch, but is still in solitary confinement at the Twin Towers Correctional Facility in L.A., where he's being held.
That's Tanya J. Powers. America's listening to Fox News.
Relief Factor loves hearing from pain-free customers and hopes that you're going to be the next that writes in. Kim wrote in and said, before trying Relief Factor, I struggled just to make it through my work days. I'd collapse on the couch at night, aching everywhere. Within a few weeks of starting Relief Factor, that daily pain began to fade. Now, I'm keeping up with it. I still have energy left for my family. My life has changed. Kim's is the story of thousands of kitchens and office desks and factory floors. The story of parents having more love to give because they have strength to share it. Relief Factor doesn't just ease pain, it restores your evening, your laughter, and the simple joy of just being present. Relief Factor has given me a big part of my life back, whether in the cold and elevation of our ranch or walks along the beaches with my wife in Florida. Relief Factor is 100% drug-free and targets the inflammation that causes pain so you can move better and feel better and actually enjoy life. Try their 3-week quick start, $19.95. Go to relieffactor.com, 1-800-4-RELIEF, 1-800-4-RELIEF, and see if you're not next to get out of.
From the News 11 Information Desk, I'm Jelena Aguilera. 2 people died in a 2-vehicle crash on Tuesday morning. The Yuma County Sheriff's Office responded to the crash on Avenue 1E and County 15th Street at 11:30 a.m. 87-year-old Ginger Edel Bradford and 85-year-old Ronald Edward Yowell were both killed in the crash. At the scene, you could see a 2013 Chevy Captiva with airbags deployed, shattered glass, and lots of damage to the body of the car. Meanwhile, the Jeep appeared to sustain most of the damage in the front of the vehicle. The sheriff's office says that Bradford was driving the Captiva and failed to stop at a stop sign, leading to a collision with Yowell Jeep. Both people were taken to Vita Health, where they passed away. Catch us on the TV side on News 11 every week at 5, 6, and 10 p.m. for your latest local news, weather, and sports.
There's a man in D.C.
Hey, 560 KBLU, Russ Clark with you. Dean's here.
Glad to be here.
I'm glad you're here too. Talking about the wealth tax in California.
Correct.
And Edward says it's impossible to protect the wealth since there's no value to stocks or in options until you sell them, which I understand his viewpoint. Because you can buy a stock and 5 years later you've made money or you made a loss at all. Who knows?
Sure.
Why would you pay tax on it? But I think that's true. And I know that argument came up.
Well, it's a logical argument.
It is a logical.
That doesn't mean somebody won't take your money.
And he listed a stock here and he said, yesterday it had a price of $35 a day. It's $15. How would I get a refund? Well, you won't. But I mean, I think I read that one of those questions like that, and it was explained that we're just taking that moment in time.
Sure.
January 1st.
Well, you could make the same argument about any property.
But somebody that's got billions of dollars, it's going to be tied up in so many things. It may take a year to audit it to find out what is it worth, or better, more than that. Maybe they have paintings on the wall.
Well, there's all kinds of potential problems.
Oh my gosh. Who's going to do all that?
I don't see a legal. I mean, people will fight it.
Or
because
if
you have billions, you will fight them taking $50 billion a year.
Yeah. And what properties you get an assessor out there or something, or I don't know.
So I
mean, I don't know the details of the bill. I haven't read it, but there's so many problems with it.
I have not read it either, but I think it's a really bad idea. But that doesn't mean it's forbidden by the California Constitution or the U.S. Constitution.
And we got cut off again at the top of the hour, and and I'm blaming the company that I work for.
Oh, sure, why not?
Well, because when they designed the studio, the clock I look at is way above my head. I gotta look way up to see the clock.
And you're busy talking.
Tell me too much, I get engaged.
Yeah.
Too much. So I will mess it occasionally. It'd be nice to have it on my console and one right in front of me.
Yeah, that
You
makes
know, a
sense.
clock. And there is a clock here, but it doesn't set. It doesn't mirror the real
In
clock.
a modern system, you'd have a heads-up display.
If I had a modern system.
But you don't.
I don't know when they built this, but it's been a while.
I mean, it looks like sort of a 70s setup to me. Maybe
Yes,
80s.
I think it's 70s. But I worked at the other station for 4 years in town. This one's modern compared to them.
Sure.
But they all were.
Well, and that's the thing.
Yeah,
If it performs, you don't need to put in new equipment.
Yeah. Let me see a little bit more on this proposal. The proposed ballot measure, and it's called the 2026 Billionaire Tax Act. I mean, it just seems so wrong, doesn't it?
Well, to you and I, who believe in private property and free markets, it's wrong. But if you're a advocate of socialism or communism,
Well,
take money from those people. They have too much.
Some of the polls I've seen over the years are just shocking, where they think redistribution of wealth is the right thing to do. I mean, high numbers of people, particularly younger people.
I think a lot of people believe that the definition of a wealthy person is somebody who has $1 more than you.
Maybe. And these billionaires definitely do.
Yeah.
It was Johnny Cash Penny, J.C. Penny, that before the Depression wrote, he got wealthy doing the J.C. Penny stores. And he said, and I don't know where it was, but take all my money, spread it out amongst everybody in the United States. Leave me my people. I'll get it all back.
Sure. And we've seen this. There's this famous thing that I think it's
and he had a chance to do it.
10 or 20
Depression, and he got it back.
Yeah, 10 or 20 versus 80 or 90 percent at the top. I think 20% of the people own 80% of the wealth in a country. That's the way I've heard it. It might be a little different. And they say you take that, eliminate all private property like they did in the old Soviet Union. They said in a couple decades, it'll be back to that 2080.
Yeah.
Which is what happened.
But then we call them oligarchs. They're not billionaires.
Right. They're government officials instead of private individuals.
Right. And I read about that on China yesterday, the CCP.
Right.
And the whole theory behind communism, it goes to the people, to the workers. We get rid of all the elites.
Well, that's the idea. Everybody gets the same income, essentially.
But now the CCP, which only makes up a small percentage.
Well, 3%, I think.
Yeah. It's they 50-60% are elites. That's what they do. I mean, there's only 30% workers that are in the CCP.
In the party.
In the party, CCP party. Yeah.
Right.
And those are the ones that run things, basically.
Yeah, I recall, I think it was maybe 30 years ago or something, there was some quote of somebody in the CCP who was sort of a theoretician and says, I don't see any theoretical problem why communists can't be wealthy. Thinking,
of course you don't. Of course, but to get in power, they demonized wealthy and took it from them.
Yes.
And then they became wealthy and says it's okay.
Well, what they found out is that having everybody poor is not the best system. And so then they started mimicking capitalism, and they actually got ideas of how you should run things from Western institutions. Says, well, you need this, you have to have a stock market, you need, this type of system where you can pay people differential for producing different stuff. And it worked extremely well. Of course, they got subsidized by the U.S. government and others. I've heard numbers of about $1 trillion over the years. I don't know exactly. And then they stole intellectual property of about another $1 trillion or so. And they worked extremely hard. You can't say the Chinese have not worked extremely hard. And so they've raised their standard of living enormously to now that we're at what I would call a low-level first world country. But it has flaws.
Yeah.
If you don't have a true market system, if it's still the government telling that you're a winner and you're a loser,
Has
it still has flaws, and those flaws are starting to really show
have
up.
any of these socialist countries stole all that money and then grown afterwards and become more powerful and more rich?
Well, it depends where you start from.
Yeah.
You know, the Chinese had leveled it down to where they were a pretty poor country, so they had a long ways up to go, and so they've succeeded a lot. You know, the Chinese are very successful in a lot of things. They've improved the standard of living for a huge amount of their population. You know, they've industrialized. They were very successful at convincing much of the first world to downgrade their power systems. Well, they were building a new coal plant every month or so.
Right.
I mean, it's turning around under President Trump, but I have to admire, in a way, how the Chinese have managed to make themselves much more powerful. Like I said, a good chunk came from aid from the West and stealing the West's intellectual property. We did some of that ourselves in the United States.
No, it's not true.
During when Britain, we didn't recognize British patents, for example. We didn't recognize British copyright for a lot of years. And so we would produce stuff that was maybe invented in Great Britain, and we'd produce it cheaply and good enough and sold a lot of it back to them.
Yeah, but I think China's gonna, start getting into reality now.
But we were pretty much pure capitalists back then.
But I think, you know, I don't think their expansion is going to continue.
I don't think they can. I think there are limits, and one of the big problems is that many of the Chinese bought into real estate as their retirement income. They bought real estate as a hedge. As I understand it, now I can be wrong, but there is nothing like Social Security in China.
Right.
They don't have a government mandated retirement net. So if you have put all your money into real estate and then the real estate market starts busting, which is what I understand is happening in China, you're not a happy camper.
No.
Because your whole future, everything you've depended on is suddenly gone. And my understanding is that in China, we have more of a safety net here in the United States than they do in China. That's my understanding. Now, maybe somebody can call in and correct me.
I don't have the phones on.
Oh, well.
They're not going to call right now.
All right. Somebody can do some research.
They need 875,000 signatures in the state of California to put this on the ballot. That seems awfully low to me. They've got 39 million people, according to the last census.
Well, I think it's usually a fraction of
who voted or
statewide
something.
governor race or something like that.
But I would think they get 875. Pretty simple, I would think.
Well, it's easy enough to look up, but I suspect that, and those signatures have to be validated. So we will see what happens. But it's pretty popular to say, "Hey, I'm going to take money from that guy and give it to you."
Correct. That's what it is. They'll give it to me, not directly, but indirectly by supporting the debt of California, the healthcare system, and stuff like that. Sarah Dory, this is the last thing I'll say on this, is a spokesperson for this Representative Khan that came up with this whole tax, and said that a modest wealth tax on billionaires to deal with staggering inequality and to make sure people have health care, for common sense workarounds for startup founders whose companies are not profitable and who have liquid stock. So we're going to take their money to support the losers.
Yeah. Well, and what it's driving the middle class out of California.
Yeah, it is.
Productive people are leaving California. So now you have the extremely wealthy in California, and then you have the borderline poor.
I would rather have a lot of extremely wealthy people live near me.
But what this will do is it's going to drive the extremely wealthy out, and then you'll only have the poor.
Yeah.
And how do you maintain yourself? Well, hopefully the voters in California would say, "Hey, you're not delivering on your promises. We need somebody else."
The extremely wealthy, understand business. They put businesses in. They hire people. They, build things. And
Well, my favorite is Elon Musk, and he's moved a lot of his operations out of California,
Yeah.
and he is touted as the wealthiest man in the world.
Yeah.
And he's probably one of the most productive people that has ever existed in history.
I don't think he sleeps.
He probably doesn't sleep much.
Yeah.
But I mean, look, you've got the Tesla, you've got the SpaceX, you've got the Starlink system, you've got
Robots, artificial intelligence,
the
boring
implant
systems.
system, all of this.
Yeah, crazy.
And most of them are being productive and working and improving life for everybody else.
But obviously he doesn't do it. I mean, he's got tons of employees working on all
Of
this stuff.
course. And he gets the best of the best.
He does. And he understands it enough to direct and say, don't tell me you can't do it. Find a way. Make it.
Make it happen.
Make it happen.
And now, just recently, the Tesla stock went down a little bit because NVIDIA announced a program for that they're supporting for autonomous vehicle operation. And since that looks like the next big thing that Tesla is coming up with, Tesla stock took a bit of a hit.
NVIDIA, is that a standalone company, or is that a subsidy of one of the other car manufacturers?
I think it's a standalone company.
Standalone, and they sell to everybody.
And they manufacture chips. Their big market is they make chips. They make the best chips in the world, the fastest chips in the world.
From what I've read about Elon Musk and seen and all that, I don't think he's ever afraid of competition. In fact, I think he enjoys it.
Well, he's been so incredibly successful. I mean, if he hadn't been successful, he might be afraid of competition. But he's just done these things that no one else has succeeded at.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just incredible. Now you can say it's luck or skill or a combination, but I think it's more skill now. He's learned a tremendous amount.
He's obviously got great people around him, but you got to be a pretty smart guy to be able to get those great people and to keep them motivated and keep them direct.
Yeah, I watched a YouTube video of people discussing his approach to autonomous vehicles, and the Tesla approach only operates with cameras. They don't use LiDAR.
They didn't start out that way. I mean, he makes changes quickly, like Trump.
Well, yes.
Yeah.
And the claim on this was that he insisted they only use cameras because it was a better mimic of what humans sense. And the whole transportation system has been set up to use human eyes. So that if you mimic human eyes, you can do a better job of navigating through the human transportation system. And so we'll see. That approach seems to be working. But like I said, the stock did drop about 10% the other day. It may continue to go down. And during when they were torching Tesla dealerships and cars, it dropped by half.
Well, but now they're double that, more than.
Well, they've gone back up. Yeah,
yeah, they're up to record highs again.
Well, they dropped about 10% yesterday.
Okay, up until then. But I just think that's a normal flow.
I don't know. I'm kind of thinking I need to get in contact with a broker so that if it drops down to 2/3 what it is now, I should buy 100 shares or something.
Well, call Edward and ask him. And of course he's just going to tell you if it's something he wants to make money on, then he'll say invest in it probably.
Yeah. Well, the upside is very large. Because if they're successful
with the robots, with the artificial
all
intelligence,
the stuff that they're doing, so there's tremendous upside.
And Musk has predicted robots will be bigger than Tesla.
Yes, he has, and
I don't know.
They're not there yet. That's for certain. And they may not. It may take a very long time to get there.
I would think so. Let's take a phone call. You're on the air.
Hi, I was just wondering, did anybody call in about 2 weeks ago from Monday? About Elon Musk's new group of satellites going over?
No. I mean, I know I've seen them before, but I don't remember when a couple of
He
weeks
also
ago.
talked about they're going to lower the orbit by, I don't know, 50, 100 miles, something like that. They're going to go down, I think, to around 400, 450 miles.
Well, these were in a chain. I saw the other ones that came years ago, but this one was in a chain, and they were evenly spaced. There was about 25 of them.
They've been putting up satellites regularly. So it's a pretty common thing. They have something.
You can even see them?
Especially when they're launched.
They were beautiful.
You can see them. The light reflects off of them.
Yeah, the launchings I see. But
no, I'm talking about the satellites in orbit.
okay.
So, especially
Yeah,
as they're being put
they
into
took up
orbit.
the whole sky from all the way from the west going east toward Yuma.
Why didn't
They
you
look
call me
like-
so I
they
could
look
run
like
outside and
blue
look at
stars.
And I'm trying to remember how many thousand satellites he has up there now. 5,000, 8,000.
no idea.
It's constantly increasing. And the effectiveness of the Starlink has been getting better and better, and more people are subscribing to it. And it's been profitable now for a couple of years. And I think most of the profits go in, or not most of the operating costs go into SpaceX for launching the satellites. And those launching costs keep going down.
I had written to Elon Musk a few years back before it was any of his rockets or any of that stuff there. He was going to put maybe you remember, he was drilling through a mountain somewhere. He wanted to drill through a mountain up around, I don't know, the Sacramento or somewhere, and make a tunnel.
Yeah, yes.
And then put these projectiles in it and use compressed air or gas to send them through with people in them to make it go faster. But I had already come across that, and there was a magazine called the Electrical Experimenter from 1915. And in that, they did the same thing. They were showing how they were going to drill these tunnels and use compressed gas or air to push people from one place to another.
Yeah, some of these
great magazine, but
these concepts have been around for over a century. We had electric cars in 1910, but the technology has gotten a lot better.
You know, if you read the magazine, they also had on one of the covers, incredible. It looked like the Eiffel Tower with a panel on top, and it was on top of a big square, foundation. And up on those panels, what they called them was solar cells. And they said it would track across the sky because the girders were on wheels, and then it would store the energy in the base. And this was 1915.
Wow.
Yeah. So it takes technology a while to catch up to the concepts.
Yeah, well, they had the same thing in there. They had, I was looking in a Hartford Current, and I was watching the different ads and stuff. And in 1888, it caught my eye, this little article, and it said, television. And I thought, what? So I went and I read it, and what they were working on then was they were trying to get a picture sent over the wires, the telegraph wires, so that it would be, on one end, it would break it down to dots and dashes, and it would send it through to the other end and reassemble it.
Yeah, the early version of a fax machine.
In this electrical experimenter in 1915, they had their different ads and sales ads in the magazine, and that was one of them. They had perfected it. It was the one with the big drum that spins and spins like in the old detective movies, police movies in the 30s and 40s. It spins and spins and spins, and when it gets done, there's a piece of paper on it, and there's your picture.
We used a system very similar to that using electric spark and a heat sensitive paper that would print out satellite images for our meteorological use in about 1973 or so. And it was a version of a fax, but it made fax images on large pieces of paper, so you get a fair amount of detail. And they even had satellite images that would come over, some of the early weather satellite images.
A lot of these old papers and magazines, it really, it kind of really surprises you what's in there. Although, right here in the Imperial Valley, I was looking through one of the old newspapers and the want ads, and one of them said, "Wanted, one dead rattlesnake." I thought, what?
Really? Well, I imagine that'd be easy to come by.
And then down below that, and this is 1914, 1915 again, and down below that it said, "One wanted, one dead mule." And I thought, what is this? So I started going through some other papers trying to figure it out. They had a film crew in 1914 and 15 in El Centro, and they wanted the dead rattlesnake because in one of the shots they were going to one guy was going to throw it at the other. like it was alive.
Yeah,
And he was
okay.
going to catch it in midair. And they wanted the mule because they wanted to get the vultures circling so they could get a picture of it.
Wow.
Okay. Sounds plausible.
Yeah,
I
I've never
tried
seen
to
that on
call-
Craigslist. So yeah.
No, I called UCLA up. I wanted to see if they had it in the vault because they restore a lot of these old pictures and stuff. But they didn't have it. That one was called Way Over Yonder. And they had another film crew at the same time coming up, but I don't know who got the title first, Charlie Chaplin or this film crew, because they called theirs The Gold Rush. And Charlie Chaplin made a famous movie called The Gold Rush. So I don't know who takes the credit. And there was another one in the 50s that was filmed up at the Navy base on the Salton Sea. It was called The Monster That Challenged the World.
Oh, okay.
It was good. It was really good for that period, 1954 or 55, I think.
Yeah, those were still silent films then, I think.
No,
1950.
50s.
Oh, I was hearing 15.
No, 50.
No, that one with the early one with the mule and the snake was 14 or 15.
Okay, and then
But
this
the
one was
last
50.
one was
yeah.
the Navy base.
Okay.
And you should have seen the Salton Sea. My God, it had waves coming in like you're at an ocean. They had the hot dog stands and stuff all over the beach, and people walking at night along the shoreline with the moon out.
It was vacation resorts
Unbelievable.
at one time before it was all polluted.
Yeah, it was really quite the thing,
All right,
But anyway,
I appreciate the call. Thanks.
Okay,
Take care, man. That's a lot of history.
Interesting stuff.
Well, they still do films out here. I mean,
Oh yeah,
Star Wars. and some
Yes, I
movies.
mean the dunes are a big place where a lot of people want sand dunes, and this is one of the most convenient places to get film
I
of them.
haven't seen one in a few years, but I don't know. They could have been. But used to do a lot of westerns and stuff.
Sure.
All that stuff out there. A lot of
There
history.
were somewhere what was it, the hotel downtown Coronado. What is it? Has been in a number of films.
One of the listeners heard something about the U.S. currently operations against a Russian tanker with Venezuelan oil. And did you read that story?
Well, I've read some of it, and as I recall, the tanker was not registered as a Russian ship initially.
Right, and they I guess got sanctioned from they asked Russia for help or something, and Russia renamed it, put a Russian flag on it,
right,
and then a submarine to guard it, and try to take it to Russian territory.
Well, I mean, because then it became a ship that is under a sovereign flag and totally different rules apply.
Yeah, and the United States apparently were going to capture it because it was one of those ghost ships. It's not registered. It's
Right,
not,
when it wasn't
not
registered to
insured.
anybody, right.
Those things are old. Well, there's hundreds of them out there apparently.
Yeah, quite a few.
These oil tankers are running illegally.
Right. And a lot of those the whole system is designed to evade the current sanctions.
It looks like Russia grabbed one and said, "We'll make you a Russian ship."
Yeah. Well, these, where a ship is registered is there's a lot of American-owned ships that are registered in like Libya or in Panama.
Yeah.
Now it used to be, I don't know if it's still the same, but it used to be that if you registered a ship in Panama, you got reduced fees for transit through the canal.
Now, right, and I don't understand all. I haven't read a lot on this. I mean, I just looked at it briefly, but Russia has been running a lot of ghost ships without their flags.
Right.
And why would they want to flag this one now?
To protect it from American forces.
But still, it was a ghost ship apparently.
Yeah, but if once it's registered with Russia, it's a whole different set
why
of
don't
rules.
they register all the ships?
Because then they directly, obviously, could be sanctioned by the U.S.
Yeah, then they couldn't go to port and collect more oil.
Well, I don't know if they run more risk, I think, that way. There's a reason. I mean, right now, something that is not a ship that's not registered in Russia, I don't know where they're registered. Maybe they're not registered to a particular company. They take oil, they go and deliver it to India. Well, they're not a Russian ship, so see, we're not taking Russian oil. Well, everybody knows it's Russian oil, but we're not on paper. We're not necessarily taking it from a Russian ship. So the Indian refineries East Indian I'm talking about can avoid sanctions and say, well, we're complying with what the U.S. wants.
Yeah, some of these ghost ships, though, they I guess they don't run the transponders you're supposed to.
Yeah, it's a kind of dangerous
It
deal.
is, and these ships are not insured, and
Generally not.
and they don't have the maintenance certified.
People are concerned about environmental things.
Sure.
If a ship laden with oil goes down and creates a huge spill, and it's a ghost ship, and it's not registered to a particular country, you don't. How do you get any damages out of anybody? There's nobody to sue.
If Russia can take a ghost ship with a different country's name on it, go get the oil, pull it out of dock, and then put their flag on it.
Well,
I didn't know they've ever done that before. I don't know.
I don't think so, and I think there's reasons why they didn't. But in this case, they did it, and I believe it's to protect against the U.S.
Well, yeah, but
government.
maybe they could do that on every one of them.
Obviously, there's reasons why they don't.
I don't understand it all, but
so you'd have to try and get somebody who's expert in maritime law.
Yeah,
maybe they could tell us.
Or Edward. What are they going to do with this ship now? As soon as they unload the oil. In fact, I don't think it has oil. I think the picture shows it was
empty.
Empty, but maybe it was an old picture. I don't know.
I don't
know. It wasn't low in the water.
But if it's Russia registered, potentially I could see they could take it back to where they think it's safe to do so, and then unregister it. And
that's what I was thinking. Like use it for a little bit, then take their flag off. That's yours.
So that might be a possibility.
I have no idea how that all works. I never knew about the ghost ships before. What they call ghost ships, that all these unregistered ships are running this oil to get around the sanctions.
Yeah, the problem of a ghost ship is that you don't have any protection for anybody either. And so if you're a ghost ship and you're not registered under any country's flag, then there's no agreements that you're under protection. And basically a country can say, hey, we got this ghost ship or the ship that's not registered to anybody. Maybe it's a pirate. Maybe it's smuggling. Maybe it's doing this. So we're gonna board them. Maybe we confiscate it. All these. You don't have the protections you do of having a registered ship.
The Russian ship, according to Edward, was declared as empty. So the picture I saw probably was a current one because it was setting high. So why would they care about an empty ship? I mean,
these ships are valuable. Well, it costs a lot of money. Big oil tankers are not cheap.
I wouldn't think so. But I mean, does that mean they're going to confiscate it?
Who, Russia?
Yeah.
I know. I suspect that they owned it all along.
No, maybe
they didn't want to own up to it.
That's a good point. I didn't even think of that. James Comer's going to talk to Waltz, Tim Waltz. I think that guy's in trouble.
Waltz? Yeah, could be.
The governor of Minnesota. James Comer, a Republican out of Kentucky, he's the House Oversight Committee chairman. And he's going to be in fact, what time is it? In a half hour, the hearing starts in a half hour.
Okay.
With Tim Waltz. But he's already released his opening statements.
Waltz has?
No, Comer about what he's going to ask Waltz.
Well, that's kind of silly.
I didn't know they ever did that. I mean, maybe
that's unusual. I haven't seen it before because it gives Tim Waltz a chance to bone up and figure out.
Maybe he doesn't read the paper.
Well, you should have some aide that should do it anyway.
He's going to accuse him of being asleep at the wheel. In his opening statements, he's expected to question whether Governor Tim Waltz, Attorney General Keith Ellison, and Minnesota Democratic leadership were negligent or complicit in the growing scandal. I don't know where you go with that line of questioning. He's just going to.
Well, what I would start asking is, have you received any campaign contributions?
I think that's coming. I guess that was a start. I mean, it's not going to get you anything but a bunch of rhetoric from Tim. Tim's good at that, at deflections.
Man, I don't know. He did not seem to have a lot of poise under pressure.
I didn't say he had poise. I just say he's got rhetoric. I mean,
he said he's good at deflection. I don't know. We'll see. It's like I said, he stated that he did not do well in debates, and he was right.
Yeah, that's terrible. He even declared himself a knucklehead in the debate. Well, I'm just a knucklehead. And that's how he got around answering a question about his line about military rank,
right?
Something and stuff. And whether or not he was in China during the Tiananmen Square.
Yeah, that's
Minnesota's social services this is James Comer. This is what he's expected to say in another half hour. Minnesota's social services, which are funded by you, the American taxpayer, are being ripped off. The most valuable, vulnerable, are suffering as a result. The fraudsters, many of whom are from Minnesota's Somali community, have stolen from programs meant to feed needy children, provide service to autistic children, house low-income and disabled Americans, and provide health care to vulnerable Medicaid recipients. Federal prosecutors in Minnesota have charged multiple people with stealing more than $240 million from the federal child nutrition program through the Minnesota-based nonprofit Feeding Our Children. And now the probe is now widened in Minnesota. They were looking at, we saw the child care thing and all that.
Right.
Apparently, they're looking at everything now.
Well, that they should.
Yeah. He said U.S. attorneys have alleged that billions more dollars could have fallen prey to the fraud in the state, something Waltz has pushed back on while accusing Republicans of politicizing the scandal. Have you seen that? Well, they're just politicizing this, politicizing the federal agents. Fraudsters like these take millions to enrich themselves while providing nothing, overstating, or outright faking the services. How many children have gone hungry because fraudsters stole money that was intended to provide them food? How many autistic children were denied services because fraudsters instead sent this money overseas? How many low-income seniors, people with disabilities, or those with mental illness were denied access to housing because fraudsters drained resources and pocketed the money for themselves? That kicks off in a half hour. So you can listen in, but I already told you what he's going to say.
Yeah.
That's the top of it. He's good at deflecting all that, but he just says nonsense. It might as well be Kamala with word salads and stuff. It's
well, all of this gets recorded and it becomes fodder for later editorials or articles or whatever. And if he says some things that make some sort of sense, then we'll see if they hold up over time.
I say Edward answered the questions, which I know he invests in many things, including ships and stuff. So the cost of these ships are tremendous, in the tens of millions of dollars. They can also be used to transport more than just oil, such as weapons, and some can even move nuclear material. If a ship is flagged and registered as Russian, it limits the ability for U.S. or NATO inspectors from boarding and searching it. The 1962 naval agreement between the USSR and USA provided that both nations will respect the borders, including ships, of the other. Boris Yeltsin agreed to continue this agreement as the Russian Federation after the USSR fell apart. There you go. I thought he would have an answer.
No, that makes sense.
Or he surrounds himself with great artificial intelligence or real intelligence people. I don't know. Could be either.
Maybe a combination, search tools are a great aid.
I'm sure he's done a lot of research in it. I know he's purchased tankers before, but as an investor, it's not unusual.
They're very expensive. I think the big super tankers are probably hundreds of millions.
Oh, the only one listening is just his personal AI. Her name is Carrie.
Oh,
she really exists.
There you go.
She does exist. She does. Let's take a break real quick. We'll be back. AM 560, KBLU.
In a world where Wi-Fi battles rage and bandwidth is never enough, one family dares to connect it all. Work from home, influence all day, stream all night, and game to win. Deadlines, downloads, and dance-offs, all happening under one roof, flawlessly. Can your internet provider do that? Fiber fuel your household at allofiber.com/all-in.
What's up, Yuma, and hello, Russ Clark Show listeners. Johnny Porter here, and I just made the switch to Allo Fiber, and it's a game changer. Lightning fast speeds for streaming, working from home, and gaming. No buffering or slowed down speeds. It's time to ditch the glitch and switch to Allo Fiber. Are you looking for a new car? Well, we don't have it. How about a new cell phone? Don't have that either. At Firearms Unknown, we don't mix what we don't know with what we do know. We know firearms, knives, and ammo. So, if you know what you want, or even if you don't, Firearms Unknown can get you what you need. We have rifle, pistol, and shotgun deals starting at $9.99 for all three. Deals on guns and ammo, and the largest knife section around, with the knowledge to set you up right. Firearms Unknown. 801 West 32nd Street, or firearmsunknown.com. Now you know.
Chances of rain moving in this evening. Cloudy today. Showers in the afternoon. 63 the high. Chance of rain 60% today. Clouds and 48 tonight. Sunshine and clouds mixed with northwest winds at 10 to 20. Tomorrow, 67 the high. Mostly clear and 47 tomorrow night.
All right, do-it-yourselfer, you've got the idea, and you got your building supplies at Southwest Lumber. That's right. Now, all you need is a bunch of expensive tools to get the job done. Oh, that's right. And you know just the place to rent them. Southwest Lumber, your home for everything home improvement. Southwest Lumber has half-day to multiple-day rentals available on just about anything you need to finish the job. Rent equipment and tools on Saturday and Sunday. It's free. Stop in today at 1917 South Avenue B in Yuma. Southwest Lumber, ready for everything.
Hello, my name is Denise Coronado, Director of Volunteer Services. Hospice of Yuma is thrilled to be the first hospice organization in Yuma County and one of 9 in the state of Arizona to achieve the Level 5 We Honor Veteran status. This honor reflects years of dedicated efforts by staff and volunteers to meet veterans' needs. We're committed to providing the highest level of care and support to veterans and their families. To become a Vet-to-Vet volunteer or for more information about Hospice of Yuma services, please call our office at 928-343-2222 or visit our website at hospiceofyuma.com.
There's a man in D.C.
AM 550 KBLU, Russ Clark with you. Dean's here. Glad to be here. Squad member, which, we only talk about the squad members like right now, Somali squad members and AOC.
Right.
But Anya Presley, she, another squad member. I haven't heard much about her lately.
Not lately.
Well, apparently we do now. Her husband, and I didn't know much about her, but she's married. And her husband is somebody who spent 10 years in prison on felony drug trafficking charges. And he was with her, and this must have been just a couple days ago. And one of the interviewer, they see people
right
elected officials ask questions. Asked her, Congressman Presley, do you support? And that's all he got out before the husband smacked the phone out of his hands.
Whoa! So or
the camera, his phone camera, whatever.
Was it an interview that was set up previously?
Oh no, something them walking along.
Oh, okay. So it's sort of a surprise.
You still can't do that. I mean,
that's technically assault.
Yes. Yeah. I don't know that they brought charges. His name's Conan Harris, and the interviewer said, "Sir, you cannot take the phone out of my hand." And that's what he said before the phone was picked back up and then returned to focus. By the time that he got back together with his phone, he said, "Congressman Presley, you support President Trump getting Somali child care fraud in Minnesota, Massachusetts." She walked away. Right. She's a Massachusetts Democrat.
Okay.
I guess they gave her time to get into a room, which they think might have been a bathroom. Don't know. Whatever. But the questions are coming up with the president. I didn't know they were that aggressive. I know they run from things right now. Omar's been running a lot now. A lot of questions that you see people ask her questions and she just puts her head straight ahead and walks fast and gets out of there.
Right.
She just keeps going. And
she
used to be a lot more talkative.
Right. I mean, the Democratic Party or the progressive ideology used to control a lot more of the media. So they don't control it anymore. So these public people are learning that they don't want to be in situations where they don't control it.
One of the questions that they're trying to stay away from is the fraud stuff.
Sure.
They're doing all that. Now, Trump just froze $10 billion in federal funds going on just 5 states, though.
Sure.
It's California, Colorado, Illinois, Minnesota, and New York. And I don't know what that's doing to the other states that may have it. I mean, do you think that's going to get people to sharpen their pencil and say, get out and double check?
I think so. I think what you'll have is that people in other states, we don't want that happening here. So we will be more vigilant. We'll try to make sure all our records are in order, that inspections that are supposed to be done are actually done. I wouldn't be surprised if we see prosecutions in other states starting to pop up as people look at their system and say, hey, there's a weak spot. Look at what happened here. So I think, yes, it will have an effect.
I think so. I mean, I think you'd be smart to say, whoa, we better double check our stuff, make sure we're up to par, up to
Right.
par.
I mean, let's say, that will happen if you're not involved in fraud.
Yeah.
But if you're involved in
What do you
fraud,
do then?
If you're involved in fraud, I would say, we need to cease operations, look over the paperwork, make sure we've got everything destroyed that needs to be destroyed.
They're not going to do that. I mean, they're not going to cease operation. I mean, I know they're destroying.
Well, a lot of, smart people might go quiet for a while. They don't want to get caught.
But there's so many people involved. And let's say you're Tim Walz in Minnesota and you've known about it, which he has. Whistleblowers have gone to him directly and told him.
Right.
Maybe he didn't research or verify, thought it was just a nut. He can get away with saying that. Maybe I don't know, but they didn't stop anything. They didn't clean anything up.
That's right. But there wasn't I don't think there was a strong federal presence pursuing it then.
No.
Now, and it doesn't necessarily have to be. Tim Walz is a very high-profile individual. He ran for vice president.
Now he is. He regrets that.
Yeah, maybe so. But what I'm saying is, if you're and I'm just going to let's pick a fictional state, West Kafanistan or whatever. And if you're in West Kafanistan and you're under U.S. jurisdiction and you've been doing fraud, maybe say this is a good time to transfer all our assets to the Bank of Hong Kong or maybe somewhere else, and let's leave the country and won't be available for questions, and we'll just have gotten away with tens of millions of dollars.
You've been involved in bad things, haven't you?
Sometimes.
maybe you understand all that.
Well, I was in Panama for 5 years when Manuel Noriega was in power.
Okay.
And, this police action that Donald Trump effectuated down in Venezuela has a lot of similarities to when they grabbed Manuel Noriega. And that's what basically a lot of the precedent for this comes from.
Mm-hmm.
It's from the Panama operation. This was done much more precisely, much faster, very quick. I mean, it shows the incredible power and effectiveness, efficiency of the U.S. military intelligence apparatus and all that to do this. I mean, look at, we have an example that happened about 4 years ago that didn't go so well when President Putin sent special forces to take Kiev and capture the president there. It didn't work. They failed.
He didn't have the military that he thought he had.
I think he had bad intelligence too.
Yeah.
I think his agents on the ground were promised things that were not deliverable.
And taking Kiev at the time would have been far simpler than Caracas.
Oh, I think so.
Yeah,
it was a surprise move. Now the people in Kiev and President Zelensky, he had been telling Biden, I think repeatedly, look, they're going to invade us. They're going to invade us.
Yeah.
I mean, he was telling, and Biden was going, if they only take a little bit, we don't really care, kind of thing. Yeah. And that was one of the reasons I think that the invasion happened, because the Russian government, Putin particularly, saw that the U.S. was weak and vacillating.
Right.
So that should have been an easier operation because they weren't at war, and it was more of a surprise. Whereas this operation was, it was executed extremely well.
And they knew he was coming. They knew we were coming. I mean, the battle group has been.
Well, they were very concerned. Right. We'd been making.
They were on red alert or something, I'm sure.
They didn't know the exact time and place.
Yeah. But they'd been seeing American hardware just off the coast for months.
We'd put together an armada of enormous power off the coast.
We flew
we had
B-52s in there even. before this. Now, they weren't involved in this raid. I don't
We
think.
had the cooperation of the government of Trinidad and Tobago, which has great ports, and they're only at the closest, I think they're like 10 miles away from Venezuela. And they were not happy with the Venezuelan government because they were getting so many refugees. Crime was rampant. Homicides were
But
way
still,
up.
to pull it off with the amount of equipment that Russia and China put in there to
Well, it
stop,
shows that-
specifically to
Right.
stop us from ever doing
I
this.
mean, this is another example that shows that U.S. military hardware and our intelligence systems are incredibly capable and powerful. I think it helped preserve peace in the world. For example, I think the Chinese government's going to look at that and go, I don't think we should invade Taiwan right now. We should at least wait, and the policy they were pursuing, I think, was a much wiser one. We will let Taiwan become so integrated economically with China that we won't have to put military forces. We'll just absorb them. They won't refuse us eventually.
Yeah.
That's a smarter move.
Do you think China is going to go in there?
Military? No, I don't think
No,
so. I think this is
no.
one of the reasons why.
That's-
They'll look at how the U.S. systems work,
Yeah.
and they had their Chinese systems there, and we overcame them. And they're going to say it's more dangerous than we thought. The military go
We
after.
haven't put a lot into Taiwan, though, have we?
Yeah, we've sold them a lot of stuff. I don't know exactly all we have sold them. Quite a bit.
I remember reading a story where they wanted them F-16s or something, or F-35s, and it really,
It depends what administration is in power in the
yeah,
U.S.
but it was decided not to because they would be more effective to have a lot of missiles and things that could take out ships.
Sure, and
Because
maybe
everything's so close, you don't need to.
I think it's like 100 miles across that strait.
Yeah, but if they start rushing it, they're going to get closer even.
There's what the U.S. and Taiwan are depending upon are strategic ambiguity. That means we haven't stated exactly what we will do, and China doesn't know exactly what we'll do. So they have to assume the worst, and that makes it a much more powerful deterrent.
What's the most valuable asset in Taiwan?
I would say the chip making.
Right, foundries for the chip.
Yeah.
I've read reports, whether they're true or not, I don't know, that they have been booby trapped.
Don't know.
That if they have to, escape, get out of there, being overrun, they will level them.
I have heard that, and what
don't
we
know if it's true,
see is that they are building chip factories, state-of-the-art stuff in the United States.
In
There's
Arizona,
two
even.
of them in Arizona.
Yeah.
At least one.
Yeah, and there's a lot of good documentaries on YouTube on that, on what they had to go through. The amount of money they spend on those things is
It's huge.
crazy.
And that was due to President Trump saying, we want you to build the stuff here. And it's a safety valve because now all their assets aren't located in Taiwan.
Yeah.
And they're not all subject to being destroyed by a Chinese invasion. So they've diversified and it strengthens their position.
I was watching a documentary on some of that's already been done, but it's been tens of billions of dollars, just for filtration systems, foundations. Apparently, these things are very sensitive. They can't have movement and all that kind of stuff. They can't have dust.
Well, you're talking about building things with the circuits. We're talking, they are the number of atoms and parts. Some of these circuits are as many fingers that you have on your hands. I mean, it's incredible precision. It's we're on the edge of what used to be called nanotech. We are doing some of it.
There's still a lot we don't do, and I understand
That's correct.
Some of the manufacturing part that we do, we still have to ship to Taiwan to have it finished. Or something.
Oh, I'm not sure. I don't know about that.
But they're thinking about when they want to build more buildings here. They're looking to build another building on the property for $20 billion. Another building that does another process. I don't know what it does.
And what I'm hearing, because I've been looking at Tesla a fair amount lately, is that Musk, and I guess it'd be through Tesla, is looking to build a chip manufacturing plant. It would probably be in the U.S. Well, because he wants vertical integration. He doesn't want to have to be worried about getting the chips he needs to make his products from somebody else.
But he designed his own chips now.
Yes, and has them built by somebody.
But he hired like Apple guys that came in, and
I don't know where they are being built.
I don't know. He farms it out. I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, there aren't very many places that can make sophisticated computer chips.
Oh my gosh, that's such a crazy technology. I don't.
It's an incredible state of the art of what we do today.
In Arizona, there's a lot of Taiwanese that are running it, and I guess Arizona is like, well, you're not, you don't have enough percentage of American workers because we're supposed to have American. That's part of the arrangement they made when they built
Right.
it. But they have to, I guess, because
where's the expertise?
But obviously there'll be training and working.
Sure. Now, I don't know if this is true, but I recall that NVIDIA was building the chips for Tesla, but I don't know for sure.
I don't know. I just know he designed them because the chips that were on the market wouldn't do what he
because
wanted.
he wants them to do specific things.
Wouldn't do what he wanted. It was too big, too hot, and to cool it in the car.
Yeah.
He needed a smaller chip.
But what I have been reading is that the plans are to build their own plant and make their own chips.
Wow. You sure he has the money for that?
They have more money than NVIDIA.
Probably. Or at least more wealth.
Yeah. It's an important aspect. Everything that he does depends on digital computing. SpaceX, all of it, and all depends on high-level digital computing. So it would make sense for him to have his own plant building state-of-the-art chips, and it's even possible he might become, or Tesla or whoever manufactures the plant, he might become a serious competitor to NVIDIA. Who knows?
Maybe. Edward confirms about the Taiwan ready to blow stuff up if it gets overrun. He said Taiwan's government has installed and wrapped the foundation of certain buildings in the country with RDX, which I'm assuming is an explosive.
Yeah, that's a powerful high-level explosive.
The idea came from Pearl Harbor, where after the Japanese attack, the Navy wrapped the shipbuilding and repair areas with TNT in case the island was overran. NVIDIA is building some of Tesla's chips. XAI is also developing their own.
Ah, interesting. X is a favorite moniker for Elon Musk to use for his enterprises.
Yeah, and
so
obviously
XAI is going to be built. That's very interesting.
Yeah. Well, I have no idea what's involved in that, but he has engineers that he got. Some of them from Apple, I know.
Sure, and he attracts high-level talent.
Yeah.
He pays them in glory.
Well, I remember reading a year or two ago that, pays them in glory. A year or two ago that like all of these engineering schools like MIT and stuff, when they put their wish list jobs together, 1 and 2 is always like SpaceX or Tesla, one of the two.
Well, and it because they're doing these incredible things.
Yeah.
I mean, we are in a golden age technology. We've been in a golden age, I would say, effectively for 300 years, and we are continuing, and the pace of change is accelerating, and it isn't stopping.
It's measured in months, not in years.
I'm looking at the things that are coming up in probably the near future, the next few years. We're looking at self-driving cars being a reality. We're looking at fusion power becoming a reality. We're looking at space travel becoming cheap. It's all happening.
Well, another reality coming up is at the end of the hour, and I got to take a break. We'll be right back. AM 560 KBLU.
There's a man in D.C. He stands 6'3". He's fighting for you. He's fighting for me.
This is News Talk 560 KBLU, Yuma.
social Venezuela will send to the U.S. 30 to 50 million barrels of oil that will be sold at market price. 1 year ago, big story, the massive wildfire disaster in the Los Angeles area. And now Fox's William Elijah reports from Pacific Palisades. So you can hear the construction crews, you can smell the lumber, you can see hundreds of houses rising from the ashes. But for many fire victims, they remain bitter, angry, they're displaced, they're in debt. They still want to know how this could have happened at this scale. Americans listening to Fox News.
Relief Factor loves hearing from pain-free customers and hopes that you're going to be the next that writes in. Kim wrote in and said, before trying Relief Factor, Glenn, I struggled just to make it through my work days. I'd collapse on the couch at night, aching everywhere. Within a few weeks of starting Relief Factor, that daily pain began to fade. Now, I'm keeping up with it. I still have energy left for my family. My life has changed. Kim is the story of thousands of kitchens and office desks and factory floors. The story of parents having more love to give because they have strength to share it. Relief Factor doesn't just ease pain, it restores your evening, your laughter, and the simple joy of just being present. Relief Factor has given me a big part of my life back, whether in the cold and elevation of our ranch or walks along the beaches with my wife in Florida. Relief Factor is 100% drug-free and targets the inflammation that causes pain so you can move better and feel better and actually enjoy life again. Try their 3-week quick start, $19.95. Go to relieffactor.com, 1-800-4-RELIEF, 1-800, the number 4-RELIEF, and see if you're not the next to get out of.
From the News 11 Information Desk, I'm Juliana Aguilera. 2 people died in a 2-vehicle crash on Tuesday morning. The Yuma County Sheriff's Office responded to the crash on Avenue 1E and County 15th Street at 11:30 p.m. 87-year-old Ginger Adele Bradford and 85-year-old Ronald Edward Yowell were both killed in the crash. At the scene, you can see a 2013 Chevy Captiva with airbags deployed, shattered glass, and lots of damage to the body of the car. Meanwhile, the white Jeep appeared to sustain most of the damage to the front of the vehicle. The sheriff's office says that Bradford was driving the Captiva and failed to stop at a stop sign, leading to a collision with Yowell in the Jeep. Both people were taken to On Vita Health, where they passed away. Catch us on the TV side on News 11 every weekday at 5, 6, and 10 p.m. for your latest local news, weather, and sports.
There's a man in D.C.
Hey, I'm 560 KBL. You Park with the Deans here.
Glad to be here.
We got a half hour because after that, Jim Faft's going to be on.
Right.
Just remind me to turn the phones on.
Oh, okay.
At that point. Let's see what I'm missing here. Edward says we're in the golden age. It is now platinum.
Okay. It makes sense because we're accelerating this technological progress so fast.
Self-driving cars are already a reality, which he's more engaged in that than we are.
Well, I looked at a video online of somebody took a Tesla. They took it from the East Coast to the West Coast up near Seattle, down to California, back across the southern United States to the East Coast. I think the last I saw it was 10,000 miles. They went to businesses, ordinary parking space, parked at where you recharge, all of that without human intervention.
Right.
I mean, there was a guy in the car, but he never interfered with the car. It went through interstates, inner cities, commercial areas, residential areas, all of that without intervention for over 10,000 miles.
There's going to be people out there, though, that are going to be so scared of it. There's no way I'm giving up control of my car.
Sure. I see that all the time.
Yeah. But look, how many drunk drivers kill people every year? It's still 30, 40,000.
It's a fair number. I mean, I don't know if it's, the point is, and this is where I've been hearing things that it's hard to prove, but the claim is that some people have looked at the numbers for the Tesla self-driving when they're driving and without human intervention.
Right.
They claim that they're like 4 to 8 times safer.
I've read some of those
than people driving,
and they're not done developing.
No.
Yeah.
So and it makes sense to me because they have this
So are
they
they
have
4 to
much more experience than a person can have.
4 to 8 times safer as an aggregate, or just 4 times safer than sober people?
Well, what
They got to be many times more safe.
Here's what they have: people who drive the Tesla cars without the machine aiding them. Okay. Then they have people who drive them with supervised autopilot or something like that.
Right.
And then they have some of them driving without human intervention. And they look at those numbers and they say the ones that are full self-driving have a major accident. This is what I read, about every 2 million miles. The ones that are driving, and these numbers may not be precise, but I think they're pretty close. Driving sort of assisted, it's like 1 million miles between major accidents. The ones that are full human, it's like 500,000 miles between major accidents.
Wow.
So, I mean, that's it. People who look at safety stats are going to say, if they want safety, you want the car to drive itself.
There's still going to be some guys.
Of course there are. There always are.
I don't trust it.
Well, I don't like it.
Yeah.
And here's a big one.
Yeah.
It tracks me everywhere I go and keeps track of all of it. Well, yeah, that's right.
That's true.
And particularly with Tesla, it's all part of a big network.
But so does every car out there. There is.
Yeah, but if you got your 1964 Camaro, it's not tracked.
No,
but if you have your phone with you, you are.
But you've got a new car. They could pull that off the brain of the car.
Right. Right now, it's not plugged into a network, though.
No.
I mean, not necessarily.
But they can.
Some are. Some aren't.
It can be access, though.
In my Hyundai, I believe it's all accessed all the time.
And Edward also reminds us our phone's tracking us. We don't really need.
Yeah, well, I made a mention of that.
Yeah,
absolutely. If you have your phone with you, you're being tracked as much as your car would.
Not my phone. I turned off my GPS. No, you can't turn them off.
It's really you can.
In fact,
you can put your phone in a Faraday cage. They make special wallets and things that you can put your phone in that prevents any signal from getting in and out.
They can't track you.
And then you can't be tracked.
But your phone won't ring either.
That's right.
That's two good things.
That's two yeah, some people it's fine.
Yeah.
And then you can put your phone on airplane mode too.
Yeah.
And that one, I think it's questionable. It may or may not prevent tracking. I've told that on some phones, particularly Apple, it prevents tracking because they don't have a system that saves any locational value. And if the phone's not communicating with the system, it can't be giving out stuff.
Yeah. Edward says, turn off GPS. You can't turn it off, but he said they'll still track you. Yes, it's permanent in there now.
And there's other stuff that we're becoming a surveillance state, a digital surveillance state, let me say. There are license readers on all the highways, all over the place.
He mentions that in here. Also, Edward mentions it. And it's more than just that. The police cars read them everywhere they go.
Yes.
Tow truck drivers.
Yes.
Did you know tow truck drivers drive around with the cameras running, and they keep a database of where all the cars are parked? So if an insurance company, a credit company calls in and says, repossess this car, they look at the history and say, well, it's always parked at night at this location.
I can believe that. Yeah.
And they know where it is or where,
and of course, this is normally concentrated in the urban areas. It's less effective in rural areas.
We have it in Yuma because we've had to work on those cars before, those tow trucks.
Of course.
In fact, I remember seeing it.
I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I'm just saying it's more concentrated. The more concentrated the population is.
That's probably true. Well, then there's more fixed cameras,
Well, that's right. But it's getting to where you can't escape this.
No. But I asked Chris, like, what are all these cameras for? Why is this thing surrounded at 360 with cameras? And apparently these drivers will drive through parking lots of like Walmart, and they start to build in a database. So they know how many times you parked at Walmart. If you have habits, like you're always there on Tuesday or something,
wow,
they'll know where that car is in case they have to repo it. So if it comes up on something that you didn't make your payment and want to repo it, they say, I know where it is. Or usually, anyway.
Now, if I were somebody of a conspiratorial bent and I had an illegal enterprise and made loan shark loans and stuff like this, I would find this, or maybe stole cars, I would find this information to be extremely valuable.
Well, it's readily available from the tow truck companies, and they tap into the police database but they can only get limited
Yeah.
information. They can't get everything the police get, because they can't get personal information or insurance or any of that stuff.
I remember a movie with Vin Diesel. I think it's called Triple X. Maybe a decade and a half ago or so, and in it, he is a car thief. He poses as a car thief anyway. And he's taking cars, stealing cars to Europe and taking cars to Europe and exporting cars from Europe to the U.S. I think all part of it. And in the movie, he has access. Oh, I want this car. Where is it? Well, it's here. Well, this all points in that direction.
Wow. That's scary. Oh, and Edward's ruining your day again. He said in rural areas, SAT services are tracking the cars.
Satellite services, and there are, you don't have as many networks. I mean, you have a major highway, so you have a reader on that highway. It catches everybody who's there. Yeah, it's just about impossible to escape.
The film was gone in 60 seconds. I don't know how he knows that you're referencing.
No, it was Vin Diesel Triple X.
Triple X?
But Gone in 60 Seconds has similar stuff. Yeah, it's a concept that's been in probably more than one film. Those two,
there's a lot of those films they've made.
Yeah, there's
Vin Diesel's made a bunch of them.
Yeah,
it seems to be very popular.
Well, he's probably reflecting a reality, maybe a little ahead of his time.
I think so. Let me see. Wonder if Moore's law still applies to chip. What's Moore's law?
Oh, well,
Chip
that's
manufacturing.
where the capability of a computer doubles every 18 months.
Oh,
that's Moore's law. And it seems people were saying maybe it's slowing down, but I think it hasn't. I think it's still in place.
Like you said, they're using electron microscopes now to see if the chips are built right, and there's only so many atoms between the wires.
Yeah, I mean, they have to get down to this level of imaging that is extremely difficult to do. I don't know. I don't know how it's all going to turn out. I think that these autonomous cars are having a level of intelligence that is real artificial intelligence, and it's very specialized. It's specialized into the transportation network for these cars. But there's a big difference between something that has the ability that's just following a computer program, okay, and doesn't really have much understanding of the environment, and something that is following a computer program that gives it an understanding of the environment, even if that understanding of the environment is only on the level of a bumblebee. Well, a bumblebee has a lot of understanding of an environment. It can fly around. It gets from one place to another. It goes from the hive, goes out somewhere else, comes back. I mean, if you have a car that has the level of understanding of a bumblebee that's autonomous, it can drive really well. Because its specialization is in the transportation network, not in the natural field.
Apparently, Moore's law is obsolete, according to my fact checker.
Interesting.
He says it's been updated to M beta, which is now that computing power doubles every 10 weeks.
Whoa. Oh, man.
That's hard to believe.
So are we in the singularity already, or are we just approaching it?
Just give it 10 weeks.
Well, maybe a year. I mean, every 10 weeks, that's doubling every 5 weeks. That's 2 to the 5th.
That's crazy. That's a good return on your investment, doubling every 10 weeks.
Yeah, so doubling 5 times in 1 year. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. I still remember the first computer I bought. I thought at the time, who would need something faster than this?
Yeah, I remember. I remember when I saw an ad for the first hard drive I knew that you could put on a personal computer. It was for 5 megabytes.
Yeah.
I said, wow, nobody will ever use up a whole 5 megabytes.
I think my first one had 10 megabytes on the computer.
Yeah. Well, I told you about a friend of mine who salvaged IBM 360 and made it in his personal computer with a card reader, But so you actually had people with personal computers, but yeah, when did the first computer, what do we call the first? Is it the Apple was the first real personal
Texas
computer?
Instrument, wasn't it?
Well, they certainly had programmable calculators. I had one for a while. And they were very good at what they did. Now a computer does everything they did
I don't know
much
if
better.
it was an Apple or Texas Instrument or one of them.
I'm thinking the first that gained popularity was the Apple.
First, like real home computers that really blew up, they just called them clones. I guess you could clone
Well, they were
IBM.
clones of the PC.
Right,
Those are the ones,
PCs, right?
personal computers by IBM, and the IBM had such a better operating system, and it had a name. So yeah, that's where we had got DOS out of that, and it was very popular for its time. But look at where we are today. We're about what 30 years, 40 years later.
Yeah. No, it
And
started in the 80s. Yeah, right.
yeah,
The
about
80s,
the
mid-80s.
middle 80s, I encountered my first Apple, I think, down in Panama around 1985.
You said the first home computer was the VIC-20. I don't.
Yeah, okay. It wasn't all that. I'm not sure how popular it was.
Edwards, we're using it right now.
A VIC-20?
No, he says he still has one though.
I could believe it. It's a museum piece now.
Yeah, he probably has it on display to see if anyone knows what it is.
Yeah. And there were a bunch of different computers. There was a lot of competition to try to make one that would be that you could move around.
Right.
That was and there were oh gosh, I'm trying to think of the name of the Personal Computing, I think, was a magazine. I might be wrong with it. And let's see, it was Jerry Cornell, I believe, wrote a series of columns where he tested various new computers on what they were doing. But it became standardized. Then you could build your own very easily for a long time.
Oh, I knew a lot of friends that did. I never did.
I put a couple together, and it was you had to be sure you had the right components, that they were compatible with each other. And then we got plug and play, which made it a lot easier. We got the USB connections. I mean, everything has gotten so much easier and better over time.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I don't bother even thinking about building a computer now.
No.
I mean, I would get like a small box computer. You've seen it, about 5 inches, 4 inches square, and then put everything onto it. It's not quite building a computer. Those computers already there. You're just putting peripherals on it.
A lot of the newer. I mean, my wife just got a new laptop. It really only came with a couple slots. It was nothing, but so she was like, I don't have enough, and I just got her, an adapter that you can plug in. So you can buy a lot of plugins and then expand the slots.
And I don't use those little computers that are, a little box anymore. New Universal Computer NUCs, I think they're called. I don't use it anymore because I found it's convenient to have a screen that goes with the computer. I don't have to carry two screens around with me. I have one on the computer and then I have another one, so I've got a spare.
Get a laptop. It's connected.
Well, I have two laptops now that I use, and I got some old ones that I should probably get rid of. But these laptops were configured for Linux when they were manufactured by Dell, and they were a fairly high-grade computer. And then I bought them, somebody who reconditioned them later so I didn't have to pay a huge amount of money. I think I paid $300-400.
I've got a Dell at home. I keep permanently plugged into the television. It's one of my older laptops. I retired it. I made it a TV thing.
Sure.
So I can sit in a chair with a wireless and check the computer on stuff while I'm watching something. The screen's much bigger. The problem with that is that it's Microsoft Windows 10 cannot be updated. And I've read where so many people are hating on Windows now. I mean, they're mad because they've made so many changes that make it mandatory to obsolete when these computers are still working fine.
Yes.
But yet they can't be adapted to Windows 11, and they don't like Windows 11.
Well, and Linux is grabbing more and more market share.
That's right. Well, Windows 10 just became where they're not going to update it anymore. It's done.
Yeah. Right.
You got the last update. It's a museum piece. And so I don't know what the alternatives are other than Linux, Apple, I'm sure they're happy with it.
Well, they're happy with hate on Microsoft and Microsoft has earned this.
Yes.
They have.
Well, and they stopped selling like Word, Microsoft Word, which I use. And now it's a subscription and you got to pay every month forever.
Right.
You can't buy a software.
Well, you can, but it's in a different format. You get free word processing software with Linux.
Well, Microsoft, anything they have free, it sucks.
And like I said, other operating systems are gaining market share.
Good.
One of the reasons that Linux is gaining is because governments in Europe are adapting it because Windows is not transparent. It's not open source. You don't know what's in there. And for security reasons, they will not run Windows systems in their government systems. So they go to Linux, which is open source.
When I worked for a major company, genuine parts company, and of course thousands of computers, and everything runs off them. And then when you start getting another laptop, it's not compatible with the software when they make the new version of it, and then they got to go back and rewrite everything too. And we
yeah,
have one of those problems.
you do. It's, in my opinion, you have less of those problems with an open source system.
Yeah.
But we also have the problems with legacy systems that are written in COBOL or oh gosh, I'm trying to think of the name of the.
Are there very many of those out there? Though?
Yes, there are.
Fortran,
COBOL and Fortran systems. There are a lot of legacy systems, and some of them are so big and so entrenched in really critical areas like an airline company system. How do they manage their affairs? How do they manage reservations and everything?
Probably air traffic control.
Oh, yes, air traffic control is one of these legacy systems. Now, they're trying to change it. They're trying to upgrade that.
Well, they keep patchworking other
it's so hard to
into
do
it, and it just
it's
problem.
You know, a lot of these. You know, if you built a system in COBOL 50 years ago, there's only a few people left who understand it.
Okay.
And the code is much denser back then, and they didn't always document it very well.
Wow.
So you've got a real problem.
Apparently, New York Stock Exchange just left COBOL last year.
Yeah, I can believe that. Because it's so critical.
I would have been shocked.
You don't want to shut it down. I mean, one of the things that you can try to do is build a parallel system that does everything and then shut things down for a day or two and completely transfer. Very hard.
That's a problem with something like New York Stock Exchange. You can't shut it down because you expect it to be open.
Yes.
But air traffic control, can you imagine?
Yes, exactly.
I mean, that's all over the United States.
Now, for something, I'll mention this because it's in the same lineup, and that is the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms runs a system where you have to put in an application to buy a silencer or a short-barreled rifle or shotgun or a machine gun. Well, the Congress changed the tax from $200 to $0 for most of those items.
Right.
So they shut everything down for a week between Christmas and New Year's and said they were putting together a new system. And I am amazed, but apparently it's working. I've heard that there have been something like 250,000 applications that have got. That's a lot for this system. It used to be a few thousand. 250,000 in the first 2 days of this year. Huge.
I got a message from Edwards AI.
Okay.
I said, "You tell your fact checker. I can see he isn't listening to the conference call. Cameras are everywhere." There you go. Got that out. I'm going to take a break because we're going to have a caller from the Conservative Caucus. Jim Pfaff's going to be calling in about 5 minutes. I'm going to get this commercial out of the way so I don't forget about it.
Very good.
I'll be right back.
See, you didn't even have to have me remind.
Thank you.
Chance of some rain moving in this evening. Cloudy today. Showers in the afternoon. 63 the high. Chance of rain 60% today. Clouds and 48 tonight. Sunshine and clouds mixed with northwest winds at 10 to 20. Tomorrow, 67 the high. Mostly clear at 47 tomorrow night.
Welcome to the most wonderful time of the year when millions of Americans open their credit card statements, scream in terror, and start looking for new ways to save money. If that's you, why not cut your wireless bill in half with a saver plan from Pure Talk? You'll get unlimited talk, text, and 3 gigs of high-speed data on a super fast 5G network for just $20 a month. Ho, ho, ho. Just dial pound 250, say micro, and Pure Talk's U.S. customer service team will help you switch in minutes. Again, talk, text, and data for just $20 a month.
Listen to KBLU from 8 to 9 every Monday morning to Life, Death, and the Law. Sean Garner and Adam Hansen discuss estate planning options. Learn how you can plan your estate using a will or trust to protect your family and secure your legacy. That's Life, Death, and the Law every Monday, 8 to 9 a.m. on 560 KBLU.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. Did you buy a timeshare because they told you it was a great investment? That's a lie. Most timeshares can be bought online for $1. To find out what your timeshare is worth and to cancel it, call us today and we'll send you our timeshare exit kit free with all your options for cancellation. Call Wesley for your free exit info guide. 800-917-5151. That's 800-917-5151.
There's a man in D.C. He stands 6'3".
AM 560 KBLU. Russ Clark with you. Dean is here.
Glad to be here.
Now, the phone lines are still off for anybody listening except Jim Pfaff.
Right.
He's going to be calling in the next couple of minutes. So he's the conservative caucus there out of D.C., and we are.
He always has interesting insights.
He does. Edward's upset that AI can still see him because he thought he turned all his cameras off.
Yeah, this is kind of a wake up call,
No. It's just another workaround. He'll find out how to work around it.
And that's the thing. If you have enough money, you can buy a level of privacy.
Yeah, but not
because it doesn't necessarily have to be you that's in the limo as a passenger. Somebody else is driving.
But see, Edward will never. I say he doesn't own and operate anything that's going to stand out.
Sure. But I'm saying it doesn't necessarily have to be him in a car or something. I mean, with enough money, you can buy a certain level of privacy.
And I think he's worked on that. I mean, you can't Google him and find him.
There you go.
And I think that.
But we talk about people who are that your phone can be tracked. But if your phone belongs to a Nevada corporation, then they don't necessarily know it's you.
I think Edward's going to be leaving right now. He's going to go to Target and buy a $40 tent to put over his desk.
It gives you a level of privacy.
Yeah, he's got privacy in his office. Then I guess $40 tent.
Yeah,
that's great. And then if he gets kicked out of the house, he's got a place to put on the sidewalk.
There you go.
You have that thing going on.
Multi-purpose.
Yeah, it'd be very functional.
Yeah,
very functional. We talked a little bit now, and I'll start talking about this. Jim Pfaff calls. We're going to stop. But the California residents that got burned out, it's 1 year. I think it's the anniversary right now, January 7th.
And what I've been hearing is very, very few are rebuilding.
Correct. I mean,
because of permitting and applications and bureaucratic red tape in California.
Yeah. Oh, before I get into that, I got to say that the listener asked me to let OG know if he's listening about Texas becoming a communist state because of several laws and digital license plate. I'm supposed to let him know that Arizona has a lot of the same laws, and we're already digital license plates. I mean, they're all digitized, and
I'm not
you're
sure
going to escape it.
What does that mean?
I think it's just since they're in the system.
Oh, okay. Most states have a computer system with license plates in them.
Let's take a phone call. You're on the air.
Hey, Jim Pfaff.
Good morning, Jim. We've actually been expecting you.
Have you now? I thought I called early, so I'm glad to be with you this time.
Big promo. The audience is expecting a lot.
Yeah.
And I got to perform. You guys make me perform, and I try to,
Well, see, so it's so easy.
Sharp and on my toes.
I just ask you a question, put my feet up. I'm good.
Yeah, there you go.
The Minnesota thing. I don't know if you saw Tim Walz the other day saying he's going to ride everybody that's doing anything illegal, but it's ridiculous. But they've got a bigger problem, I think, than what we already know about. And do you have any insight on that?
Well, they do have a problem. Listen, what Tim Walz is doing in all of his reaction to this is kind of a standard, one of the standard playbooks within the Democrat Party. Now, for him, it's a standard dumb playbook. And what do I mean by that? It's not really all that thoughtful. It's kind of transparent, but he kind of falls in that wing of the Democrat Party that has relied on the media to carry their message for them in a way that cannot be countered anywhere. What he's apparently not realizing is it can be effectively countered. I have to tell you, it is breathtaking when I flip through social media, all the videos that reveal very clearly a massive amount of fraud in these storefronts that supposedly are the domain of daycare or whatever else. I mean, it really is breathtaking. You know it's there. You know that fraud exists in government, but it is overwhelming. So, but see, here's the thing: 5 years ago, there's no way you could have got that information out. 3 years ago, you would have had a struggle getting it out. You only just started to because Elon had just bought X and broke the stranglehold. So he's kind of in that game where he thinks he's just going to be able to continue to do anything he wants, pretend like he's doing and already on the cutting edge of the very thing that he wasn't doing that everyone is revealing. So that's what's going on there.
He's been governor for a while, so I'm kind of surprised he gets up and says now he's going to work on it.
Yeah. But this goes to other states.
Really.
It goes to other states too. I mean, you're hearing of Ohio, Massachusetts, other states.
Yeah. Well,
so our national field director, Chad Caton, is in Ohio right now, and he's already producing video because they're doing the very same thing on storefronts there. This is really, I mean, what's really for me good about this is that for the first time in a long time, the very things that I know I've been talking about, trying to deal with when I worked on Capitol Hill, and really for the last 30 years, is attempting to expose what the actual problems are. I mean, we're getting the promise of social media thanks to what Elon Musk did, because the citizen journalist is really coming to the forefront right now and really showing the power of breaking the big media players who really were the gatekeepers of information for a long period of time. And as liberal as, like, for those who are old enough to remember, as liberal as certainly the Walter Cronkites of the world were back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, they were somewhat gatekeepers, but they were still attempting to get general news out. You could sort of get information out. It had a kind of a little bit of a twist to it, but everyone was not entirely shut out, even with those limited venues. Well, in recent years, the mainstream media has been very successful with the help of government of shutting down any way to bypass what they were doing. That is gone, and the citizen journalist is beginning to rule after having an initial breakout prior to the massive censorship that happened.
I think Nick was brilliant, that 23-year-old. He didn't go out and go through, years of studying and all that stuff. He found a whistleblower that's been screaming for 5 or 10 years, had all the Freedom of Information Act, had all the numbers, just nobody would listen to him. And Nick put it together beautifully and then went out and demonstrated it was all true.
Well, and by the way, it wasn't only Nick, although Nick surely deserves a lot of credit for this. But it wasn't just him. It was a bunch of apparently Democrat Minnesota government workers who had been trying to point this out with Tim Walz for years, and who really broke the information out. But I think Nick went and got to them to get more details. And look at the amazing work that he's doing. You do have to have someone that is capable of doing what Nick Shirley was doing, and now many others who are giving us more and more information, including, thankfully, my national field director. I mean, by the way, there are 2 videos on Chad. Chad's X handle, if people want to see it, is I am fired up, meaning I'm fired up too. And they are getting almost assaulted by going to doors in Ohio right now. It's really breathtaking. But we need to thank some. I'm going to presume they're Democrats. We need to thank some Minnesota government employees who really kind of started rolling this out because they got disgusted with it.
Right. Nick did not originate this information. He was just able to put it into a format out on social media that they couldn't do.
But that's important.
No, that's absolutely true.
Absolutely. Now, the Dems are still rallying around Tim and still complaining, at least the ones that are vocal right now, that Nick's a fraud and it's not true, and Tim Walz is doing the right job. CNN, CNBC, but I think it's fallen flat. I think they look like idiots, CNN particularly.
Oh, absolutely, they do. Listen, this combined with the back end of what we know about the Russia hoax, what we know about the censorship industrial complex, what we knew about Joe Biden that no one wanted to say, but we all knew it was true. Now this can have a really big effect. The American people, it's kind of like this. This is going to be maybe an odd analogy, but there's a supplement that people can take for post-workout called creatine. Creatine, helps rebuild muscle, and it isn't a very effective supplement when you're on a workout regimen. You can recover quickly in your muscles, particularly if you're younger, and it's really a helpful supplement. Well, all of these things that have been happening are kind of that creatine supplement, so to speak, that's out there. Because now, when these citizen journalists are doing what they're doing, now people can connect to it. The strength of the American people to look these lies in the face is getting better. By the way, the other thing that has caused this too is the outrageous trans agenda and trying to redefine what a woman is, and the immigration fraud that not just related to the Somali thing, but just in general. This big influx of people coming into the country, and Donald Trump shuts it down immediately. And Joe Biden and the Democrats and some Republicans tried to pretend like, oh yeah, well, it's just something we got to deal with. The fact that real action, real activity is taking place in response to all these problems does make the American people more willing to hear some young guy like Nick Shirley do a video and say what he says, and not immediately think, oh, this is just some scam thing and this isn't actually real. You see Democrats and these Somali people pushing back against what's being exposed, and no one's even listening to that. It's not even, catching with the American people. So good news for us if we can keep it up, and if Donald Trump and his administration can continue to bring charges against these people. The Minnesota U.S. Attorney is doing a fantastic job, because I think the last number I saw was 90 people who got indicted over these issues. There's probably a whole lot more. Now we need the big players like Tim Walz held accountable legally to all this. And if the Donald Trump administration and the DOJ can do some serious work of getting indictments and investigations going, don't count on Republicans in Congress. I mean, I think James Comer's doing a decent job with this, but Congress really hamstrings itself because they won't go all out on it. So that's, it's got to be independent things here, and Donald Trump's administration taking strong action.
How is this going to affect our upcoming election for, the House, which, statistically looks like it could go to Democrats possibly, and historically, I mean.
Well, and the reason I agree with that analysis, although I'm not predicting it, I'm not predicting Democrats keep the House. I think that we've got strong economic numbers coming from things that the Trump administration has done. We're just on the verge for just a few days of no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security. That's going to make people feel eventually here in coming weeks and months feel better about what their economic situation is, or their perception of what the American economic situation is. I think there's a lot of positives coming down the pike this year that will help Republicans do well, but it's going to be in spite of themselves, because the other side of the problem is Republicans are not taking advantage of anything that we're seeing here. Did you happen to notice that Amy Klobuchar, the senator from Minnesota, has an earmark for $1 million that's going to some Somali institution? No. I mean, this is literally in the upcoming compromise bill that Republicans and Democrats have to do on, because they got to finish that up by the end of the month. Like we have a deadline where we could have another government shutdown. So you're seeing earmarks coming into this process like that are absurd. And Republicans should be entirely shutting the earmark process down and all of this down. Like, they should be taking aggressive action legislatively, and if they would do it, the American people are going to get behind them. But that problem, combined with the fact that Republicans run crappy campaigns because they have to make sure that the consultant class gets paid, instead of just, we'll only bring the consultants and the strategies in that win elections. They're still caught up in that mess, and so they could lose when all the opportunity is with them. You talk about the Democrat. Sorry, I'm riffing on this, but you talk about the Democrat numbers maybe looking good for them.
Yeah.
On the other side of it, Donald Trump's numbers are getting better and better. Like, you're going to potentially see a reemergence of Hispanic support for Republicans because of what just happened in Venezuela. And without getting into the legalities or appropriateness or whatever that people want to talk about related to what happened in Venezuela, the fact is that Hispanics are excited about this because they know the corruption that was going on in Venezuela. And even if they're not from Venezuela themselves, they have friends who are, because people tend to group in Hispanic communities in areas, particularly in Florida. They know that this is a really positive thing to get rid of a dictator, however it ends up playing out. And so we're seeing numbers like that. Donald Trump's approval ratings, even though they try to throw out these polls that say his approval is 35%, and it's all bull crap. The reliable polls, and particularly, you do have to look at the Rasmussen poll. And people think they're a Republican pollster. Mark Meredith, the head pollster over there, he's bashing on Republicans and every once in a while on Donald Trump. But even though he seems generally supportive of what's happening on our side of it, but their daily tracking poll is far more reliable, and it has Donald Trump going no lower this last year than 45%, and he's bumping back up again. So those numbers are generally good. And Donald Trump makes himself a little worse in those polls than he needs to, in the sense that he's just very brash in his approach, and I think it's a net positive effect. But there are numbers that show that Republicans could do well. But if they would just take action, I was just talking to a major school choice advocate on the phone earlier today. We were just having this discussion, the missed opportunity in Republican state legislatures after COVID of just putting out full bore school choice. I mean, they did it in Arizona, but they haven't done it enough in other states. The teachers unions are going to be rabid. I mean, look, there are teachers unions working with socialist and communist organizations in Chicago to protest the Maduro thing. Like, this is the outrageous there, and Republicans have to get balls. Donald Trump has balls. The Republicans in general do not. So that's my concern.
Yeah. You talk about the government shutdown as possible again. Do you think the Dems would make that mistake again? Is it possible to derail Trump? They might think another shutdown might do it.
I think that many of them do think that.
Okay.
But there seems to be a growing contingency in Democrats, in Congress, to say, listen, we don't need to do that stupid stuff anymore. I think some of them do realize what the failure was. That's why the shutdown stopped when it did, even though it had gone to a record 40 plus days. But the reason that it did get stopped is finally Chuck Schumer's contingent of Democrat senators.
Yeah.
Some of them said, listen, we got to stop now.
They were losing. They were losing the public opinion war.
They were, but Schumer wasn't seeing that because, again, it goes back to what I said about Tim Walz earlier. I mean, Democrats still have this instinct that the media is going to come out and save them on whatever they want to do, and they're underestimating changes that have taken place since the Biden administration and the seemingly destruction of the censorship industrial complex.
The Democrat states, or some of them apparently, that want to go ahead and tax tips and tax, to offset Trump. And Hochul was one of them, and she just did a U-turn on it. They're now, the Democrats are saying that they're the party of affordability. Is that going to work for them? Does anyone believe it?
No one believes it. But I will say that going into this year, for the last few months going into this year, some of that messaging was working pretty well in the sense that there hadn't been massive reversal of the inflation push, which, we talk about inflation rates, and it is true that at the end of the Biden administration, inflation rates were at like the 3 or 4% level, so not so bad as they were in the beginning. But the cumulative inflation problem was well over 20% throughout his administration. In fact, it's one of the worst performances in cumulative inflation that we've ever seen in this country. So we were at the top of that curve when Donald Trump got elected, and it's stabilized since.
Yes.
So I think, and it's starting to reverse itself. So we do see GDP growth increasing, and we're seeing inflation going down. We had a 4.2% GDP number 1 month recently. If those kinds of numbers hold, and you see a relief in the in people's disposable income because of some of the tax changes, you see small businesses continuing to invest in with immediate write-off on all of their capital investment, which was part of the big beautiful bill. And we generate jobs in this country through small business, not through large business. So if those things are starting to kick in, then this affordability issue is not going to hold with what Democrats are
Is
trying
it
to do.
going to be in time? Is it going to be in time to save the election? Is the only thing I look at. Yeah, I believe it's going to kick in, but when will it be so obvious that it's going to stay?
I think it will. I'm just going to tell you. I think you're going to start seeing it kick in after the first quarter. You may see it kick in beforehand. The question is, will it kick in enough? Now, Larry Kudlow, who's, I'll go with Larry Kudlow on economic analysis, even though he's a bit of a cheerleader and very pro-Trump. But Larry Kudlow of Fox Business is really thinking that things are going to kick in. And he does understand these numbers well. I've heard my friend Charlie Gasparino of Fox Business talking about this too. There are analysts out there who are starting to see some things turn positive, but it's really hard to say that it's absolutely going to kick in enough and in time enough for 2026 to be an opportunity for Republicans to keep Congress. And again, partly because they're stupid in Congress, Republicans are, but partly because these numbers need to be pretty significant to overcome that stupidity.
I got a listener to think the no tax on tips, which you mentioned, is actually a bigger issue for younger votes, which is what Republicans need more younger votes, and that we should be pushing that the Democrat governors, particularly that are not going along with it, they're going to refuse to comply with President Trump's no tax on tips plan. And should we be doing more to advertise and push that message?
Oh, I absolutely think we should. The no tax on overtime hits a decent amount of young people as well too.
Yes.
Don't forget that.
Right.
So, but you still have a large contingent of young people who are really not operating and I'm talking about Gen Zers who are not operating in real economic activity in ways that we've seen people of similar age in the past operating in the economy. So, because they're all college educated and can't get a job because they really have no skills.
Right.
And they got their English degree and their underwater basket weaving down, but they can't, translate that into real work. But there is just still a very large contingent there that can do that. And I think Gen Z is turning out to be more conservative than the millennial generation, which are people who are having kids and working right now. But it seems to come. Listen, I think it comes around when you consider, for example, on things like the abortion issue. Like Gen Zers grew up with their brothers and sisters. What do I want to say? Not mammogram. The name just left me. But the picture of their brothers and sisters up on the refrigerator.
Right.
They grew up with that. So on the social issues, they tend to be more conservative in that way. But they also are seeing that there is a real hope, a potential hope for them to have better economic result when they do see things like no tax on tips and no tax on overtime. There is some sense, but is it strong enough? I don't know yet. But again, if these economic numbers are great, I think that you're going to see support from young people, and that will be helpful, certainly to the next Republican presidential candidate, who's likely to be someone like J.D. Vance, who's in the millennial generation, and that could actually really grow over time into something very positive.
Oil refineries that are just closing down in California right now are going to have more of an impact than I thought, and I'm reading it's even going to impact New York, which gets a lot of gasoline and refined products from that oil that pipeline, and as well as Arizona and other states. It's going to cause some problems. Is that something that's going to reflect on the Republicans? Will they realize that was the policies of California that shut these things down? And do we have a plan to do it, or to put more plants in, or to to help out with the shortage that we're going to have?
I don't think it's going to accrue negatively to Republicans at all, because Republican policies are so dramatically different than the ones that have caused Valero and Chevron and other companies to get out of California. I mean, the Chevron thing is really huge. Chevron's been based in California for, almost 100 years.
Right.
And they're leaving that, and it's because of specifically those policies. So, no, I don't think. I think that there's a clear distinction there that they cannot. Democrats are just not going to be able to make this out as a Republican problem. This one is very clear. And listen, even before the Venezuela thing, which they're projecting is likely to keep overall in the long run gas prices down, even with the Venezuela thing, which is going to have a kind of a short-term disruptive effect, the overall oil market is way down. I mean, it was $80 a barrel when Donald Trump came into office. It's now in the 50s, and it's likely to stay around there. It might pop back up into the 60s, but that's a significant drop. You're seeing gas prices go down all over the place. It's one of those key factors that's going to help people deal with the current inflation situation, whatever it is. And then if you have a reduction in inflation, then just, cave bar the door. It's going to be great. But no, so anyway, the Republican and Trump policy is going to be seen positively by the American public because they're going to be noticing it at the gas pump.
When Trump went into Venezuela for the 90 minutes or whatever, a lot of Democrats come out and say he's just doing it to oil and some distractors that are doing it for the oil. And then Trump comes out and says, we're taking our oil. Which I think is hilarious. Is that a good political move? I mean, I think it is, but I'm not the average guy that's walking the streets.
Well, I think Marco Rubio's response to that was pretty good. I think on CBS over the weekend, where he said, "Listen, we don't need Venezuela's oil. We got plenty of oil on our own."
Right.
Donald Trump is willing to push that because he has this skill of creating chaos in people's minds, so that when he gets what he is determined to get, then it works out perfectly for them. So I don't think it's a little, it is chaotic. I mean, it's just uncomfortable when you see him saying that. But ultimately, at the end of the day, he really, by doing that, he really keeps people from talking about the military action so much and get into discussions of oil, which at the end of the day is going to be very positive. So people will say, okay, fine, we got their oil and my gas. I'm not paying so much for gas. I remember I was living in 2020. I was living in Woodland Park, Colorado. I have an F-250 diesel, and I was paying under $2 a gallon for diesel at the time. I think it was under $2, or maybe it was $2.15, something like that. In Woodland Park, where it's a little bit more expensive. So that was a great time for me. And then I saw these gas prices go up big time. People felt that generally when they see these gas prices getting back to what it was in previous years, when it was much better. That is just, listen, for your average American who doesn't get to make as much as a federal government employee, and they're paying $1 less on gas, they feel that huge. So they're not going to get all worried about what Donald Trump says about oil in Venezuela. I predict when they see the benefits to them.
Something I'm not hearing much about, but I read it recently, and it makes, I think, a huge difference for a lot of people, especially older people, is that you can declare all of your charitable givings as an income tax deduction now, where for a long time there were limits on it. You had to meet a certain percentage of your income. Are you hearing anything about that?
Say that again. I apologize. I didn't understand that.
Okay.
Quite.
The way it was in 2025 and previously, you could only take a charitable deduction if you donated a certain percentage of your income. I forget what it was, 10, 20%, something like that. And now you can deduct all of a charitable deduction, like you give $15,000 to your church. It's all deductible now. That's in 2026. I don't know if that'll impact people because it's in this tax year, not last tax year. But to me, it's a big change over the long term.
I think that that particular thing, which is going to show up in your 2026 taxes, probably isn't going to make a big deal here. But there was an increase in the standard deduction. In previous years, if you fully tithed out of your income, which those are the people that really have any impact on deductions, the standard deduction is really, really high right now. And I think that when it goes up a little bit more, people are going to see a little bit more in the return they get from the IRS when they file their taxes. That's not going to be so much related to what you just talked about with charitable contributions, but there are other factors that are going to cause, and I think Donald Trump's right to say this, that are going to cause their taxes this year, for them to get more of a refund. And that is going to be a bit of an economic windfall when all that money goes rolling back into people's pockets at the income levels where that really matters. So it's going to be more related to just the general tax structure than anything else. But the combination of having no taxes on overtime and no taxes on tips with that increase, although modest, in the standard deduction, I think is going to have a beneficial impact all on its own. But then if you go into 2027, when people are filing their 2026 taxes, particularly if Republicans get in Congress, then you're just going to have a real economic. I really believe by 2027, you're going to see this economy coming in a huge way. I just don't know when it kicks in. Anyway, to address that specific thing, there's still going to be a benefit, but I don't know that it's going to be as much related
because
to the
it's
change in
later.
charitable deductions.
It takes effect later.
I'm running out of time, Jim, but go ahead and give us your webpage again.
It's theconservativecaucus.com. That's THE conservativecaucus.com.
I appreciate all your time, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We'll talk soon.
Bye-bye. As Jim Pfaff with the Conservative Caucus.
Yeah, a lot of interesting opinions there.
Well, he's become a real favorite. I didn't get to half the stuff I wanted to talk about.
Yeah,
I need
he's
to have him
he's
on
very
for-
knowledgeable.
Need to have him on for an hour or so.
Well, maybe we can.
Well,
next
he's
time.
not afraid to state an opinion either. But
Right.
I want to talk to him more about the Venezuela effect on Iran,
Yeah,
on Cuba,
on Cuba,
Putin.
yes, all of this stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
and it's an effect. It's real, I believe.
I think so. Of course, it's hard to tell. You and I both do a lot of research. We look at things, but can't believe everything you're reading. But to read, well, Putin's afraid now or something. I'm like, okay, sure. I mean, I'm sure he told you that.
Yeah, well,
yeah.
I think it's another thing for him to be concerned about.
I think common sense. I know Iran right now is having protests, which they never have because you get killed for that. And they're actually pulling up signs asking for Trump's help. Did you know that?
I expect it, but yeah, that regime could fall. It's possible.
Hey, we've got some of them taken off now, going to Russia, the clerics and stuff. We're out of time. I'll be back tomorrow. Dean gets to rest up. AM 560, KBLU.